Alrighty, welcome everybody to another Monday. It's Tom here, and it's time for us to discuss the markets over the weekend and, of course, the markets for the week ahead. I hope everyone had a great weekend and has had a good start to 2021. This is our first official Monday live session. Welcome back, I guess. We did the Friday non-farms. That was an interesting event. Obviously, US dollar went in the opposite direction, broke through this resistance. We'll be talking about that and more. And boy, oh boy, what a weekend. Bitcoin begins its seasonal Lunar New Year drop from 2,000 down to about 32, 33 pretty quickly, and now it's recouped a little bit of that. We'll be talking about that and more, of course, stocks, stock market, talking about some of the things that I've learnt over the last couple of years. There's a lot to cover in today's session. We'll be going through to the live bell, hopefully, if we can make it there in a couple of hours, and we'll be talking about everything. So remember, if you have questions, ask them in the room and we'll answer them, because whatever question you might have, heaps of people have it. Quick shout out to the room. We've got Yogendra, Sandola, Johnny Bravo. We've also got Tara. Thank you very much for joining us. Nick, Matthew Tainch. Great to see you here. Sang Freudman. Happy New Year. Kevon and Thomas Donegan and Maximus as well. Valdo. Everybody joining us. So that's excellent. All right. Well, I think today probably the story is going to be people talking about cryptocurrencies. I have a feeling we're going to get a lot of people talking about cryptocurrencies throughout today's session. But there's a lot to go through. There's so many markets. Gold, silver. Look at the gold tanking. Should we be concerned about that? We went down to about under 1820 into the market open today. $77. You just can't help yourself, man. Thank you very much. $7 starting off a great session. US $4. Definitely giving me one of those coffees. And by the way, 2021 $7 could be the year of the trader mug, the coffee mug. I've been in discussions about getting something that I think is actually quality. We might be launching the FX Evolution Trader Mug for people to drink any kind of beverage while they're, of course, doing their charting stuff. So now I just want to quickly say, I got this question a lot over the Christmas holidays, and that question was, what do you recommend in terms of starter setups? Do I need like 7 screens? Do I need this and that? I've mentioned this, I've answered it a few times. My thought process is you really only need 1 screen actually to do your analysis. Now, is it better to have a few? Sure. But 1 you can start with. I made the mistake. I bought 8 to start off with. I thought I need 8. I need to see everything. You really only need 1, and then you can go from there. And I think probably one of the best setups is around 3. So if you get about 3 screens, usually I like to have them like this, 1 like that, 1 like that. My home setup's like this, and then 1 in portrait mode. And portrait mode's where I put maybe my YouTube, my news feeds, my emails, whatever else I need here, my trading stuff. That all sits in the portrait mode one. Obviously, my main TA screen, and then my watch list. And that's the kind of setup that I think is very cheap, very attainable, and very good for traders. So a few people asked me that one over the holiday break. Maybe they got a couple of dollars and they wanted to invest it into their setup. That's definitely what I'm thinking about. All right, so we've got some questions already coming in here. Thomas Love says Aussie gold miners did well today considering bullish hammer on NST. Might actually load that up. Let's have a look at this bullish hammer. We've got heaps and heaps of things to go through, but let's just go NST. Just have a look at what this is. This is a stock, is it? I think it's Northern Star. Yep. Okay, so bullish hammer. I assume you're talking about the daily. All right, so I don't see it on that one, but depends obviously on the market. What time frame was it? Could be on a different time frame. But yeah, you look at these gold stocks, you look at something like Newcrest or anything like that, and what you'll notice is that a lot of gold is just coming back into line. Even if you drew a trend line through everything, say we drew it down to here or even drew it through the bodies, it's really on that kind of trajectory. Now, a lot of people say, oh, well, trend lines, I'm going to buy the perfect spot or anything. Trend lines aren't the best TA tool. They're a good identifier of a key level, but what you want to do with the trend line is you just want to use it along with other horizontal support resistance or other analysis, because you're never going to get it exactly correct generally with the trend line. So this might become your zone or area that you're interested in buying it in on. But yes, it's certainly back at what would make sense in the trajectory. And I'm pretty sure this trend line would go even back down to here. So you can see it goes through quite a few. It goes through obviously the crisis of 2020 in terms of bodies. And then we're kind of hovering around the zone where you'd hope this finds support. It's a good one there. A few people saying they use their TV for doing analysis. I always find that a little bit too large with the television. I find it like extreme. Like this actual little monitor I've got here is only 24 inches, but then I've got like 27s, 30s. I started with a lot of 30-inch ones. So let's get into what we're going to be talking about today. And I think that it's always worthwhile to do a quick screener of maybe finviz.com, see what the news is, see whether there's anything you're interested in. Obviously, if you've got like watch lists with Webull or any other thing, you might have specific stocks that you're looking at for the news. But it is good just to have a bit of an idea of what's going on. Now, do we pay too much attention to this? Not really. The price action is going to teach us the way. It's what we always talk about in this channel. Price action first, and then, of course, everything else second. One thing that you'll notice I even clicked on it. I just clicked on this one and I thought this is an interesting little one to highlight. So that's Lululemon, which is that yoga company, sees earnings growth at high end of expectation, but the stock actually is falling. We are in a market right now where stocks have to exceed the top end bracket of expectations. And I'll state that again. They must exceed it. If they don't exceed it or get right on the top, they have a tendency to fall. And that's because the expectation from Wall Street, from investors right now, is to knock the lights out. We want to see growth like this, and we don't want to see any growth that comes in the middle or even top end of expectation. We want to see growth above that expectation. And this is often what people don't understand about the market. The market is optimistic. The market's like, yes, we want to be here right now. Now, if you come in within the expectations, the market's already said, no, we want to be here. We don't want to be here. So when you get that result, a lot of people say, well, the market's crazy. Why would it drop after such a great result? Because it's thinking it should be here. So when you're doing your analysis fundamentally of stocks, just consider if your stock has been beating the expectation. So let's say the expectation is here from guidance and it's been beating it. If it fails to beat the expectation even once, it could drop 10%. It could drop 15%, even though it's still good because it's in growth phase. When a stock comes out of growth phase, it gets destroyed. And a lot of people haven't experienced that in this market yet. They haven't experienced the sector getting whipped. And you can go through many different sectors throughout time that have had hypes on them. We had lithium in Australia a few years ago. We've obviously had iron ore before. Just something I think that's going to be the story of 2021. A few people say, what do you think 2021 is all about? This. Not terrible earnings, just not meeting Wall Street and investors' high-end expectations. Jose says you can split screen on wider desktop. Yes, you can definitely do that now. One of the really good things to do is to be able to split like a big 34 or 40-inch screen. Yeah, you can certainly do that. All right, well, let's get into Bitcoin. We talked about Lunar New Year. We talked about this particular chart, okay? I want to begin here, and then we'll get into some more stock stuff. But this is basically what has happened almost every single year. 15, 16, 17, 18. If you've seen my most recent video, you'd know I was talking about this. We talked about it even last Friday in the non-farm screen. It just made so much sense for me to think that this year would be no different, and we would see a fairly decent sell-off in Bitcoin into the Lunar New Year. But remember, there is a few people have asked me in the channel comments, what's next for Bitcoin? Well, let's have a look at this chart. Let's look together right now. What are we seeing as the reoccurring event here? This is always the thing I want to think about with seasonals. What are the most statistically likely things to occur? Well, there's a few things that have happened here. One was that it declined first off. Then it declined further after a recovery, because there's usually a recovery in these flash crash kind of periods. Then it went crazy actually and almost bought it back, and then sold off and then kind of hovered before the Chinese New Year, the Lunar New Year, and then of course it started its rise. Now I'm going to discount 2015 a little bit. Look at the price of Bitcoin back then. Don't we all want to invest? $280, cheap. That would be nice, wouldn't it? But we didn't get in then. So 2016... we've got a similar occurrence to what we're seeing right now. Pretty big sell-off, followed by a decent little recovery, followed by a low that was put in on the sell-off. So we saw a sell-off followed by a further sell-off, a low was formed, and that low became buying pressure support into the Lunar New Year with big pressure coming out. Now notice the flat line into the Lunar New Year. Flat line pretty much into the Lunar New Year, went up afterwards. That flat line is what I'm going to be looking at. We have a crash here, flash crash 2017, pulls back around that same period that's happening right now. Remember, this is the 28th of Jan, an earlier Lunar New Year. This time we had 8th, this time we had 19th. Crashes off, comes back, crashes again, slight recovery, stabilizes, then it has the movement up. The years before, 2018, what do we have? Pretty much a more stable kind of sell-off into flatlining, and then of course increase after this period. So what I'm looking for here, if we think about Bitcoin and we think about the chart right now, is, well, firstly, the 20 got hit. I'm sure someone bought this. Someone from this channel must have bought this. Tell me, guys, did someone buy this level? I'm sure someone did. The 20 moving average, we love this level. We love the 20 exponential. We're talking about it. I know someone in the private community was definitely looking at it, but this is always going to be a fairly heavy little bit of a buy zone. The 20 is just, it's just a great moving average. Look, purchased around, purchased around again. Of course, it's going to have some buying pressure. Now, could that be the end? Maybe not, but it certainly is a nice buying pressure. Now, when we put the floor in, we will eventually put a floor in here. Let's say it's here, could be down here, who knows. But when the floor ends up happening, we're most likely going to see a recovery and then a potential retest of the floor, or very close to the retest of the floor. Then at that point, hopefully a hover and movement up after Lunar New Year. That is actually what I believe could certainly happen here. This is a fairly simple market, Bitcoin. Cryptocurrencies, altcoins, it's hype, it's FOMO. There's obviously lots of great stuff behind it, but at the same time, it's still a huge amount of retail traders with a little bit of a smattering of nasty Wall Street in there as well. Thomas Love said, I opened CoinSpot account last week and I bought $20 of Cardano. I remember in 2017, I was working with these guys. They were older guys. They didn't know what cryptocurrency was. And I remember I bought each one of them, like Ethereum, I think it was, and I put it in their little investment wallet. And I remember they made like 100% in like a day, and they came in, they're like, oh my God, I made 100%, man. It was like $50. And they were so happy about it. But they had no idea what was going on. They had no idea at all. So it was definitely an exciting experience for them. So we've got some more questions coming in here. And these questions are about nickel, commodities boom. Hey, I'm all on the commodities boom, Thomas Love. Absolutely. Everything went up in terms of commodities. I believe we should be in a fairly decent cycle for commodities. Generally, you see the first 12 to 18 months incredibly bullish on commodities. Then you should get out. Usually there is a time period. We'll look at that very, very soon. Do you think we're still in a FOMO trend on Bitcoin? Yeah, I definitely do think we're still in a very good chance of a decent recovery here on Bitcoin. If we do have a similar thing that we'll look at in terms of a blow off though, it will become very apparent at some stage soon. Moritus says, the major banks and EU are starting to ban deposits and withdrawals from crypto exchanges. The exact same thing that happened last time. The exact same thing. I remember in Australia, they started closing accounts. There was a popular withdrawal. I actually used, I think it was BTC markets. They were changing their bank accounts almost every week because they were getting closed down and they had to keep swapping them. It makes a big, that's the problem. It does definitely take an effect on these places. All right, so that's pretty much caught up with those questions. Thank you very much for putting them through. So our thoughts here on Bitcoin. Is this a standard kind of flash crash? Yeah, pretty standard. The 20, hopefully that holds it up for now. Let's go and have a look at the actual, I guess we'll go to the bigger time frame first, and we'll just quickly scroll across to last time what happened. So you'll notice that it's very common in a Bitcoin cycle to have multiple big sell-off events, but we have had something very, very similar to last time. We got that kind of flash crash that went from 32 down to 20, 28, 27, kind of similar to this one here. Then we had a big move up, And then we've now started to sell off. Now, generally in any big pullback sell-off, you will usually have the standard kind of pullback to a pretty big fib. So you might draw a Fibonacci, and this is always the way to tell if you're in a blow-off event. You draw your fib, and if it comes back to a certain key level, usually it's higher than this actually. When is this? This is not the right one, is it? Jan, yeah, it is. So usually they come back a little bit deeper, maybe 50 into the 61.8. So they usually bounce a little bit higher here, and then they start the decline. This is the log scale, so it's going to look a little bit different. But basically, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for usually a pull up, followed by generally a 61.8 fib, and then the blow off occurs. That's usually the key for a blow off event. Now, because we're using log here, it's all going to look really different. But basically, what we are seeing right now could be just a standard pullback. Possibly the 20 holds it. One of the things I like about crypto is that it has a tendency when it comes down to these key levels to give us awesome signals. Now, I'm noticing something straight away. Shooting star candle, okay? Shooting star candle. Now, I don't really care about shooting star candle too much. I care about this wick rejection. Because when we think about it, it's all about the hype, the FOMO, when people get in, and it can move so quickly, yeah? So let's say we identified this wicking on a few different time frames. Comes back down, retests this zone, bounces up, and as soon as price gets through this level, it will trigger massive amounts of buying pressure generally. Whenever you have shooting stars, and let's say you had two of them like this, and you break price, you don't even have to necessarily close, but especially if you break price here, you're going to have a triggering of stop losses that need to be moved out and a huge amount of buying pressure to get past this zone, because there is a lot of selling pressure through these candles. So I like Bitcoin because generally it's been giving us a double bottom entry into the buys. Look at this. Beautiful purchase candle here. This candle here, beautiful purchase candle off the recent flash crash. We had the low, we came up, we tested the zone, we created a resistance through here on the smaller time frames, and then we busted through, effectively creating a lightning bolt event if you want to go on the 1 hour. But if we ignore this one flash wick, we've also got great market structure through here that's been broken out and closed above. So there's a lot more analysis you can do in here, but that's the type of thing that I like about Bitcoin. Look, double bottom here, blew through. It has a tendency to do that. Nice consolidation coiling that we discussed in the channel. Breaks above, closes out, comes and retests. That's not normal. Doesn't always do this. Move out. Double bottom. Very similar to last time. See how the double bottom happens just before the resistances. Resistance, 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 all that stuff. You get the double bottom here. Bitcoin likes the double bottom. So that's the kind of thing that I'm looking for a fall. If you're waiting for the perfect bottom or anything like that, usually the market structure from before will be kind of the signal again. Thomas Love says, bro, I've been watching some Bitcoin live streamers. One guy in a Dubai hotel gets 15K live viewers. Yeah, look, crypto is incredibly popular. You can obviously get huge followers through cryptocurrencies, no doubt. But, yeah, I understand. We're about stock as well. We're all about the stock. Stock's actually my favorite market. I just think this is interesting right now because it's going crazy. So, okay, let's move over to the first thing I want to talk about, stock. And that is an interesting story of just how slow and steady can win the race. And I think this is an interesting one. So these stocks, specifically Union Pacific, which is a railroad, something that I've always kind of liked, has actually survived 100 years. And they've performed pretty well over 100 years, which I think is really, really interesting. And I think it shows that, not this one though, that's bad, yeah. No. But Union Pacific, not bit better because of the railroads, because of the moat around it. So I like this last comment here. Apparently it isn't easy to start a railroad. Yeah, moat is a big thing. I was talking with a guy the other day. He was very, very rich, okay? Well off, businessman, successful, everything. You know what he had? Usually people say cash flow for business is their most important thing, and probably rightfully so. You know what his prerequisite to getting into business was? This is the word he learnt. And when he learnt this word, and he's self-professed, like maybe not that great at school, not that academic, those kind of things. He learnt the word moat, he learnt the word hard to get into businesses, and he immediately knew that is what he was going to do. And of course, Warren Buffett does that type of investment, but I've always gone to the mantra of moat is good. If there's a company with a very little moat, it can be taken out, and I find that they don't tend to do very well over the longer term. So if you're talking about investment, it's always a little bit different. Anyway, this particular company, of course, annual return 11%. Let's have a look at this stock. Look at this stock. That is almost a perfect chart. That is absolutely phenomenal. I don't know if I've ever seen a chart that's so great. Just because it's just so slow and steady. Yeah, there's pullbacks and stuff, but look how slow and steady that is. That is an amazing chart. Anyway, the reason I bring it up is because these had a breakout last week. And I bring it out because you've got one of those interesting kind of zones from a technical level. If we think about the technical level here, what have we got? We've got resistance, resistance, resistance. Basically one of our 1, 2, 3 kind of concepts. We've got the breakout. Now, do we think the breakout's sustained? Probably not. They generally tend to fizzle and generally tend to come back down to the conservative pullback. They're not like Bitcoin or Tesla where they just go off into the sun. They tend to pull back to the zone. Over here, we break a resistance, we go a little bit long, we come retest it. Obviously, there was that low that happened through November, but it's just very interesting to see that we've got a nice breakout here in a quality stock that obviously could have a nice pullback. And I think there's always an alternative thought process, and some people may have this, some people might not, but I love this idea of 100 years worth of investing with a steep chart that literally just continuously goes 11% per annum. Johnny Bravo says he loves UNP. Well, that means you're smart, Johnny, I believe. UNP also recovers pretty quick after March lows. Yeah, I mean, it's just an essential thing, isn't it? It's one of those, it's hard, as it said, hard to build a railroad. So I like these kind of stocks. Sometimes going through, obviously there's a lot more research that you want to do. But I think it's very interesting to just see that this is one of the only companies that stood the test of true time. Stood the test of true time. Go through the earnings as well. Looks like it's trading at about 23.35. Obviously, these seem like they're pretty outdated. Look at these hideous calls. April's, March's, obviously a bit outdated here, but all the figures are still on Finviz, and you can use things like Koifin as well to get further information. Let me see if I can load it up here. Let me see if I've got this here. Here we go. So it looks like the analyst expectations sitting kind of around where it is right now. It seems to pretty much hold inside those. So high price target's about 239. Average target is about 213, 214. So, but there is a lot that haven't been updated recently. Johnny's got this. That's a pretty interesting one. Johnny has this mantra: if it's on the Monopoly board, then it's probably tried to be owned a little bit. So you obviously want Waterworks, and you've done well with water then, Johnny. Water's been a good one, hasn't it? And of course, utilities. So we're getting a lot of requests here for dollar index, and fair enough. It's actually fun at the moment. So dollar index had a really interesting structure. Again, I think it's worthwhile noting this structure because it's pretty common. And when you see it, you can actually predict that it's most likely going to bust your general concept when it happens coming in. Again, the weekend video would be worthwhile watching after this stream if you want to check out why that is. So we had the 20 exponential moving average. We had a 1 touch, 2 touch, 3rd touch, huge rejection. Look at that big wick sell-off. Obviously, there was a lot of Wall Street players here just dumping that dollar index. And then we had a test followed by a little bit of a sell-off. But I want to talk about the structure coming into it and then what's happening right now. So that 20, I think, is incredibly important. So here we have resistance, like a resistance kind of level, a resistance level, and a very interesting coiling level. Notice the price action here. We have a bullish looking wick candle. We then have, this is all a 4 hour. Then we have a bit of a struggle around here, followed by a sharp rejection, followed by a test again, fails to break high, breaks high after non-farms, after testing the low. Again, wick rejection here, showing more bullish intentions than bearish intentions because the bears failed. Look how the bears sucked. They barely even got to push it under here. All of this market structure made me think, yes, we are going to crack that 20 moving average. We then cracked the 20 moving average by pushing through it, gap higher today, and of course now it's moving up. Now, where's the next level for the US dollar? Well, if we pull the US dollar and we think about the next level, it's pretty much these resistance highs. So there's quite a lot of movement still that can happen here. Could certainly get up here. Could stop a little bit earlier. Could stop a little bit earlier at 90.60. But it seems likely that it's going to go for the 90.70 and then it will find some selling pressure. We've got a 20.50 cross here. The first one, this is what I said on the weekend. You can go back and check that out if you want to. I said there's no 20.50 cross since up here. 93.47. There's no cross. The first cross. It makes a lot of sense. So for dollar bulls, what you're looking at now is probably a resistance test here, a pullback, then probably a retest. Now for double tops here, of course, it's going back down. The trend is still down the bigger time frames. If it breaks through this level though, a retest of this level always has me interested. You got 3 perfect resistance kind of levels that will act as support, and then it goes to the next level, which is probably here, and then potentially to the 92. So I like taking this little like kind of break level here. And if you're not in it already, then of course this is the expectation. Maybe a 90.70 resistance pullback, etc. What does that mean for gold? What does that mean for silver? What does that mean for Bitcoin? I think Bitcoin's going to do its own thing. I don't think it cares too much. I know it's moving off dollar index, but I don't think that's really the main driver here. So yeah, up to there makes a little bit of sense. Let's try to marry that up now with gold. See what's happening there. We'll go over to the room as well. Remember, if you have questions, ask them throughout. We can always answer them as best we can. So gold is one that a lot of people have been watching. Thomas Love says DXY broke out of the descending channel, but I think it's a fake out just like gold. We have to see the close to think whether there is, a fake out here or anything like that. Depends on time frame, obviously, Thomas Love, but you can, yes, you could see here that there has been a fairly decent kind of pull. We have had a little bit of a break here. It is a Monday. Mondays are notoriously hard to trade in currency markets. We usually want to see all the markets open. My rule of thumb, if I'm trading Asia on a Monday, I can trade gold. I can trade maybe yuan. I can trade Australian dollar. I can trade New Zealand dollar. All the Asian currencies, yen, etc. I will not usually trade other currencies. Like I won't trade euro or pound before the markets are open, ideally. And that's because there's so much fake outs that go on Monday. So you're right there. But a body close up here, anything higher than this 20 is going to be incredibly significant, I would think. If we go over to gold now, let's talk about what's going on here. So we've seen a few things happen on gold very regularly. We've seen the 50 exponential, this blue line here, hold gold several times in the bigger cycle. We know that gold also should be strong for a decent amount of time. Now, gold had a few things last time. When the stock market fully recovered from GFC lows, gold actually stopped being the best kind of investment. But silver and gold still continued, usually 12 to 18 months, especially silver, again on demand of the actual metal. And of course, concerns about everything else to do with money, fiat, etc. So we've got the pull up here. We've got 2 week rejections off this zone. Go to the daily. We're through all the moving averages here. We came down to the 1818 previous low, took out probably a few poor people's stop losses here with the low, rejected both. I like the rejections here. That's probably the main thing I'm looking at. We're starting to get what I call market structure through this zone, and market structure is what we trade. We trade price action. The market structure shows us that it's found a consolidatory level, and then we need to see the money flow through the break. So we go down to the 2 hour, we can go down to a 1 hour. I never like going underneath this ideally. And we've got a bit of a resistance line through here. And obviously we've got that super low. So 1855, we've got resistance and a resistance with a bit of a wick rejection. And we can see something else here. Now, I'm going to leave it to the room while I answer some questions. What am I most likely seeing here, guys, that I think everyone should be seeing by now if you've been following the channel for a while? What particular thing has been happening on this down trajectory on the 1 hour? All right, let's go back over to some of these questions while I wait for your answers. Optical says, yes, DXY pumping Bitcoin is hedge against DXY. It is to a degree, but it's not the main reason that it's getting crushed, I would say. Because DXY is not pumping that hard right now, unfortunately. Matthew Flores says, is Bitcoin going to crash? Have a look at the last couple of minutes. We definitely talked about that earlier, Matthew. Dinesh says, will NEO sell off this week? What do you think? We'll take a look at NEO later. I'll definitely write that down. A few people saying Dow is going to crash today. We'll see about that one. We'll have to have a look at the markets very soon. Lurker says, hey mate, I'm from Brisbane. Quick question. Where did you learn your TA? Any recommendations for a beginner? Well, I'd have to recommend, of course, our course, Lurker. Definitely come and you can even join our private community for free for 7 days if you want to check that out. Maybe one of the mods can put it in there, fxevolution.com. But overall, look, it's a mixture of things. If you want to speed up your learning process, I guess, do someone's course. Our course, definitely recommended. Plenty of good reviews out there on it. The other thing that you can do, though, is you've got to put in time. You've got to learn heaps and heaps of market scenarios and constantly revise and be true to yourself in your work. That's the easiest way you can really do it. We'll definitely look, Kim, at XRO and the ASX very soon. I'm well aware of the Australian guys. 20 MA retest. Good work, guys. Absolutely. Absolutely. 20 MA touch. So we've got the 20 MA pretty much holding this thing down all the way through. Similar to the dollar index. What happens? Breaks through here, closes on a candle. What's that going to do? Well, basically, gold is then going to have, hopefully, a structure floor in. It's becoming a statistical likelihood that we're going to have success. Now, would I prefer this on a 4 hour? Hell yeah. Would I prefer this on an 8 hour? Yeah, even more so. And would I prefer it on a daily? If it happens on a daily, that is the triple tick because I love the daily. The daily is the best. But the more significant the time frame, the more likely the market structure has gone through a really good thought process. Think of it as it's gone through all of those market times and tribulations and weird news that's come out, PMIs, CPIs, crazy news, tweets, whatever, and survived all of that and has created the structure. When you think of a market like that, it changes the game. So well done to you guys. So many people mentioned the 20 moving average had been touched, and that's what had been holding it down. Perfect. So that's our thoughts on gold. Our thoughts are that it's finding structure here. The structure needs to hold. Now, obviously, we take out this base. Where's the next level for gold? And I am bullish on this medium term, by the way. I'm definitely bullish on this short to medium. So when it gets down to 1788, possibly we see the 50 moving average holding it up. Body closes holding it up as well, if that did happen. But if it takes the low out, that would be the next stop for gold. And for the peaks, like we said on the channel, look, we pretty much got this one to the T, the 1960. We had a 1960 TP. Well, obviously, we put it slightly under because you never go for the round. And it basically hit that level, rejected it, busted down under here, which was that was unfortunate, but that's trading. We had some great wins before that with all those bullish momentums. And now we're waiting for the market structure to pull us through. So it becomes still a 1900 kind of resistance, 1930, 1960. And after 1960, all the bulls are back. I would be setting long time alerts for up here. I'd be very excited if we get past 1960 on gold. Go over to silver before we look at the US 500 as well. And silver, I think, presents a very similar opportunity, very similar process. 2 week rejections, this time coming off some random kind of zone where we had resistances and supports. Silver, I'm probably still more bullish on overall, but silver also comes with the mantra of incredible percentage volatility. It's kind of like the crypto of commodities. And we don't quite have the resistance, but again, it's holding this 1 hour 20 relatively well. Possibly we get like a little bit of a shoulder here, and we've got like a left shoulder head, right shoulder slant, possibly in breakthrough. I'd be looking at gold giving us the signal on silver more than silver giving us the signal. Am I shorting Bitcoin? No, not anymore. No way. That doesn't mean it wasn't decent to short, but it hit the right levels for me. Shorting is incredibly hard. So let's say you're going to pull a short on Bitcoin. You might pull it based on a seasonal. And that's the only reason I would pull it, because you're hitting crazy epileptic kind of highs and then you're selling off. But the 20 is always going to be a heavy level of sub. But we'll go back to that later. I want to talk about this one for currency fans, just because we mentioned it on Friday's analysis. We're talking about this level. We're talking about this descending triangle, yeah? Descending triangles are always cool. We're talking about the support base, the fact that it was coming through these. Obviously, we had non-farms. Look at this, little bounce off this level, followed by a big close down. Of course, the selling pressure's coming in. We've got the 2050 cross now. What happens if it comes back here? What's going to find a lot of selling pressure off the 1, 2, 3. Starting to get probably the idea for a few of you guys out there. And then, of course, potentially we get further selling pressure here. Very interesting zone, though, for pound US dollar, and well done for guys that were looking at this one on the smaller time frames and analyzing it this way. I think it's pretty solid, and that's kind of the expectation. Obviously, there is going to be some buying pressure that comes through this area. So what I do if I have a zone is I draw a rectangle, bring that one up, bit of fun, target the zone, etc. Pretty cool on pound. Okay, let's get into the indices. We'll go back over to some of the questions here from the room as well. Johnny says, if you're here to learn something, you're in the right place, folks. Johnny's definitely been here for quite some time, so he's earned the moderator tag. He says, like and subscribe. Yeah, look, appreciate everybody that's been liking and subscribing. It definitely, more subscribers makes me more motivated to make these kind of things. Do more streams, obviously helps us out. YouTube's a interesting game. It's an interesting kind of thing. Sandollar77 says the rise of 10-year bond yield is putting downward pressure on gold. The damn Democrats' fault. Well, yes, 10-year bond yield. So if we have a look, if you're not sure or you're not looking at bonds too much and you think about going to things like a screener or futures and stuff, the good thing about futures on Finviz is you can see all of the different kind of markets. So you've got your bond and notes here, and you can see what's going on there. You can click into them and find out more information. And kind of straight away, you'll notice here today's story. It's almost like you come to this screen and you go, okay, now I can go and have a look at what the news is. Because this really is telling us the news. It's the price action. So the price action is saying, hey, there's some VIX, there's some fear coming into the markets. Potential, all that kind of political stuff coming in. We click on the Bitcoin crypto one just quickly. I like to use CoinMarketCap or something for this instead, but you can see here some of the changes. I find the dailies are ridiculous on Finviz.com, and you can also do your FOREX as well and click through that. So we'll go back over the US 500. So what's happening here? We've got a little bit of selling pressure coming in, 0.68% down, now 38.04. So is this the beginning of something bigger for the markets? Well, I think January is really just doing what January does best, which is it's either really, really heavy up, which it traditionally is, or it's down a little bit. I'm going to go through and examine some interesting seasonals with you guys. You guys would know that I love seasonal information. And I'm going to put this all into a sweet chart for you and basically share it with everyone for free. It's going to be like an infographic with some cool stuff you can print out, put it on your screen. And it's going to basically have a ton of information about seasonals, because seasonals give you bias to a degree. And that bias, as long as you use it with price action, gives you the confidence to hold something. And when you have the confidence to hold something, you don't take it out early. And I hate taking things out early because I stuffed up so many trades doing that. I'm sure we all have. I hate it. Nothing worse than taking your order out early and then it goes crazy. Now, it's fine if it hits your profit, but taking it out before your profit, and then it hits it, that's a bad. That causes the revenge trade. So let's have a look here. This is obviously huge amounts of data. So 1928 to 2020 here in terms of data. Now, what's noticeable? January is good. December is really good. Santa Rally, probably the last really good seasonal. We usually have a June, July that's solid. September is crap. Just like I've always mentioned, September, October, August, these months are traditionally in America pretty terrible investment months. They're usually where you're seeing kind of that huge bubbly July return coming off quite a lot. And we get that Feb sell-off and that May sell-off. Now, I've found the May sell-off to be pretty crappy. Sell in May and go away has not been too good recently. But if we have a look down here, check out this. This is 2009 to now data. Percentage change monthly. Notice February has been quite negative. February's been pretty bad. March has been pretty bad. April has been, whew, April is good, guys. 12.7%. What the hell? April is way too good. So April's been an amazing month. And it was, guess again, an amazing month when you think about what happened, of course, during 2020. So I think this is kind of going to play out. I think it could be a Feb. Could be a Feb sell-off here. Could be a rest of Jan. Might be a little bit tumultuation, a little bit craziness. Price action still says long. Feb might be a little bit of pullback. Nothing to be worried about, though. And then possibly, maybe even to March. And then April, we get a banger. Based on seasonals. Again, we want to use price action as our main key. What do you guys think about that? Do we agree? Do we disagree? Obviously, it's good to have opinions. Definitely check it out. Sugay says, I'm glad we are back on Mondays. Absolutely, man. We're back. Jose says, timing is difficult when trading. Yeah, look, timing is definitely the big thing, but confidence and more importantly having a plan and sticking to your plan, which is confidence. Confidence and risk is really what most people look at when they're talking about investments. So I talk about moat a lot. I talk about cash flow for businesses, but risk is pretty much the main thing that any investment manager, any trader will look at. How much risk do I need to take to get the reward? And sometimes a trade is just going to be too risky for the reward. So if we think about this US 500, we already know the 20 exponential has been holding it up. The same with the Nasdaq, the same with pretty much all of these things right now. The 20, the 20, the 20. Until this 20 is cracked, just like we're looking at with the dollar index before, we're not sure that we're going to get any further declines. Like, yeah, it could come back down here, but that doesn't mean a crash. That just means a little bit of a pullback due to some uncertainty, of course, with politics in America and some other things. That's not enough. We need it underneath the 20 with a close before it's going to go to the 50 and give us something more of a correction. And then we can say, okay, well, where do we want to pick this up? For anyone that's expecting a huge 2021 crash, you would need people to really miss a lot of these expectations. Like we said with Lululemon, if you have things hitting the high end, they might sell off a little bit, but they're not crashing. No way. If you have things hitting kind of this is the median and you have anything hitting kind of the median or better, it just won't be able to crash. It definitely will fall off, but it won't crash. You need to be under expectations, surprise, that kind of thing. So US 500, I think that's really what's going on it now. I could go on about the Bollingers, I could go on about all those things, but I'd probably rather take it over to you guys and get an idea of some of the things you want to look at today. So we talked about silver, we talked about gold. Both are looking decent on structure. Talked about dollar index, looking bullish for now, up to a point. And then, of course, hopefully a little bit of a pullback there. And Bitcoin, we talked about that one as well. So definitely keep asking. Thomas says, do you like using Bollinger Bands when looking at silver? I don't tend to use them too much on silver and gold. I guess the reason why is because gold and silver, when they go into a heated run, they tend to blow Bollinger Bands out of the water. That being said, look, the problem is Bollinger is a lagging kind of, it's like any indicator. It gives you a concept, an idea, but I've copped some flack recently. Yeah, a few of you guys on the channel have said, hey, Tom, stop talking about the Bollinger on the monthly because it's not coming down as in the market. Because you can see here, if we have the Bollinger, we've been outside of the Bollinger for 3 months. I think people need to understand that, like, you're outside of a monthly Bollinger. It takes ages for these things to stop, to actually turn around. It's a monthly. It's not going to happen straight away. We have to look at seasonals then and find the weakest months, being maybe a Feb or a March. Outside the Bollinger isn't enough by itself. It's been decent little call, but look, you could have said, oh, it's outside here, sell it. The thing is now we're 3 months almost outside the Bollinger. That is hard for the market to keep up. It's very irregular for it to keep this up. So I do pay attention to it, but price action's up. We're long until the price action tells us otherwise. Ooh, Netflix. Yeah, I got to look at this one for you guys. Netflix. Yes. Let's take a look at Netflix. Pretty interesting trade. Decent channels. Go to the daily. So Netflix has been basically stuck for months and months and months in this horizontal kind of hell, I guess you could say. It's been stuck between these zones. Is Netflix kind of the buy right now? Well, you would have to think that Netflix, pre-market here, 508, is trying to signal a bit of selling pressure here. No matter how we slice and dice this, we could say, we've got trend line. Okay, cool, we've got trend line. Trend line sucks. Trend line is broken. It even been respected here. Again, we can draw trend lines everywhere. What else do we have going on here? We could draw double top resistance with the line. Again, both these lines are kind of focusing around this level of rejection. We get a new low. We test that low out. Where does Netflix tend to have can tend to go to? 480 or possibly the 464. Definitely could be some downwards trajectory pressure here on Netflix. It's stuck in the middle of a bigger range. Now, I like this though, and you should always set alerts for these bigger ranges. What happens if Netflix breaks the low? It goes most likely some kind of structural range. Now, that's a big sell-off, yeah? But what about if it breaks to a new high? It could happen in a year. It could happen in 6 months. You set these alerts, and then if it does break, you go, oh yeah, I better go check out Netflix. Possibly an opportunity in the future. You have all these alerts set. One goes off and it says break of channel. You've done the analysis. Put the analysis to work in the future. Have a look why then. So yeah, I think it's in the middle. Cool stock. Obviously, very interesting zone. Oh, Kim Lim. Yeah, absolutely. He says, Thomas Slav, look at buying HNDQ as your hedge Nasdaq index. Yeah, hedge Nasdaq is good in Australia. People don't understand Australia. We are dealing with problems because the US dollar continuously going down. What's that meant? We need to hedge the currency because otherwise we've basically busted about 20 to 25% of our gains in the S&P if you haven't hedged. So absolutely. Yo, Gendra wants the bank Nifty. Always want the bank Nifty. Now, there was another one that somebody mentioned before. FTSE 100. Oh, we've got a lot of great requests coming in here, so we'll definitely check out all of these. We've got plenty of time, guys. We'll go through everything. So let's have a look at Nifty because I always seem to do this one. And yeah, it just keeps going towards the 15,000, hey? You would think it stops just before that. I mean, look, nothing's changed since our Friday analysis. It's continued to bull up. We've got a gap here. Contrary to what people believe, if you're looking at whether gaps fill or not, look at the previous history. Gap. Not really a fill of any of those gaps in that period of time. And then we've got gap. So it doesn't mean it has to come down. So this is looking incredibly bullish. There's nothing else really to say. Follow it on trend lines, etc. and wait for a significant breakthrough. Let's go to the ASX 200. I know it's 11:49 on a Monday, so we better go have a look at some analysis here. So ASX 200 is pretty simple, I think, right now. We're stuck in a really cool range. And this really cool range gives us some good opportunities. Well, firstly, we hit the top of the range today. For all those short sellers, I'm sure there was some. Selling pressure is going to always come off this high. Selling pressure did. We're now at 66.99 on the futures. Obviously, if we keep pushing down, we're going to hit a 65.60, incredibly important level. Wick rejection. What's that telling us about market structure? Could be a stock, could be a currency, could be anything. Wick rejections mean that there was previously some sweet buying pressure. That was Bitcoin at $3. Everyone wants in now. Now, what happens if we break through that and close below with a significant candle like a daily? something has changed in the market and the big players have pushed through what should have been a really good buying pressure. And because we knew this was really good buying pressure, if it gets through this zone, it triggers really big sell-off. Could go back to the previous lows. It definitely will go its distance range, but it could go back to this 62, 62.50. So I'm actually thinking 62, 62.50 is possible for the odd market this year for the ASX. It is possible. Maybe Feb. Maybe it's not going to happen. Now, if we break a new high, just under 7,000 seems quite likely based on the structural range. But I love these wicks. I just love it when they get broken. And also there is some decent little buying pressure here. So do I buy here? I wouldn't think it was a great location based on price action. Would I buy a close? Yeah, I buy closes. And you say, why you buy stupid bad price, Tom? The worst price than here. Well, the reason you do it is because the market's told you the momentum's in that location. So I think the ASX 200 is basically a little bit trapped here. A few people want the UK 100, the FTSE. Let's check out that. We'll use currency.com. It's amazing this market's recovered, yeah? Oh, this has really terrible... That has terrible history on it. We got something better there. Go index. What's the code? Thought Oanda had some codes here. Oh, there's some previous history. So really nice breakout here, 65.20. Basically for the FTSE is as simple as it's going to try to get to that 7,100. Why does it do that? Huge amount of selling pressure most likely here due to previous horizontal support before the crash off. This has actually been a pretty good investment since November. Look at this. Wow. US election. Boom. Beautiful. Great opportunity on index, hey? Well, that's what happened. I said that for a while. The opportunities became less in the US and more overseas. All right, we'll go back over a few other ones. Kunal says, Tom, just as a side note, you should get a thumbnail that catches attention more. I think I just scrolled by without realizing it was your live stream. Yeah, always open to opinions from the community, guys. Look, I'm not a marketer. I do TA. I look at white and black charts and candlesticks. So look, if people have ideas or people have thumbnails or they want to work on one or do something, I'm happy to discuss it with them. Absolutely. I also want to make a whole bunch of emojis and stuff that are custom. So if you're, know artist or know somebody, definitely get in contact. Just Thomas at fxevolution.com, THOMAS. Dividend passive journey, Facebook, Amazon, Microsoft going sideways. Any thoughts? We'll definitely look at those very, very soon. Absolutely. We'll check them out. Thomas Lava says ASX 62.17 will be a 10% correction, and there's no reason it can't do so. Gareth says it's up to you whether you take an aggressive or conservative entry. It's a bit of a gamble taking an aggressive entry without confirmation for consistent wins over losses. Correct, Gareth. Absolutely. It's all about consistency and getting yourself to higher statistical chances. And when you wait for confirmation close, you've effectively done the correct thing. You might think something's going to happen. I might think here, or like down here, yeah, I think it's going to break this level of resistance. Okay, you think that, but that doesn't mean it's going to happen. When the market closes above a zone, it generally gravitates towards the next key support resistance level. It's filling that zone, filling that gap. That's when the participants change from an accumulation into market participation. When we have the market participation, it's cool to be part of the market participation. Nothing wrong with it. Don't be the kid that tries to pick it down here. Be the winner that joins in with the crowd. And a lot of people say, don't go with the herd. What did 2020 teach us? Who were some of the best investors in 2020? Us, the retail traders. Did we beat Wall Street? A lot of us did. Why? Some people didn't have any idea what they were doing and they just went on Robinhood and just bought Apple. Guess how well they did? Really well. So it proves that then they all stacked in and everyone just piling into things. So when you're in the trend, you win. When you try to short sell against that, I got busted on a few short sells that I had to go at last year. Had some good ones, had some bad ones. It happens. Short selling's hard. I don't recommend it to people. But yeah, that would be something I would say as well. All right, let's have a look at some of these other stocks. I saw someone mention Microsoft before. So obviously, Microsoft is going to be an interesting one now that we've seen what we've seen in the US with politics. It's going to put pressure on these big monopoly kind of companies. So we've obviously got 200 buying pressure support for Microsoft. If we get back down there, we have got back down there several times. That's, of course, always the buying pressure. We've also got this middle zone 210. And Microsoft has this weird tendency to skip the 220 and not care about it. $10 increments are the thing I do on Microsoft. And it kind of has this weird resistance high. So we've got this 226 that seems to be poking out for a few times now. Now we get past, this is a question I get asked a lot as well. Really easy question to answer. People say, okay, market goes up, market breaks 226. Does the market care about previous resistance over here? The answer is most likely no. It's probably an 8 to 9 out of 10 chance, even more, that it does not even care about that. Think about the coil. We have a coil with a series of higher lows coming into this break so far. If that break occurs, it just busts that. It doesn't care. Straight to 240. That's my bull kind of case. If the market gets through here, 240. Very likely. Then we can take the range as well of these two horizontals and we can probably extrapolate that out to getting us the range of where we expect it to go. Now I'm using this range because it's based on the actual more recent price action. Got a low, got a high, got a low, got a high. That's a 1, 1, 2, 2. Good enough for me to draw my channel range. That points to basically what, a 260, just under 260 kind of TP. So I think Microsoft's cool, but at the same time, it does have political headwinds. Just trade the price action on it. It makes it easier. Investment-wise, you've got to make different decisions. Different decisions. All right, a few people asking me to look at NEO. My opinion has always remained the same on this, really. I don't understand the stock too much. I'm not going to begin to tell you that I understand the fundamentals behind NEO. Obviously, 11.63%. People are piling in on this one. You need every result to be above. Remember, we talked about the start of this stream. Talked about expectations. This is the middle of expectations. This is the top of guidance. You need NEO's guidance. How do I draw off the screen? It's up here. You need NEO to be up here with guidance in the future to be able to sustain this kind of run. So things are looking good. I mean, no two ways about it. You're so far away from the 20 exponential on the weekly. We've got a new break high. Obviously, we're looking crazy pre-market. It tends to be able to hold some of these things. So down here, I remember talking about it, and I also remember like $30 and stuff. With NEO, generally just follow the trend and you go into what I would usually say is round numbers. So it stopped here at 50 and then kind of got through a little bit. Now it's 65, maybe it goes towards 70, finds a little bit of resistance possibly, then 80, and every 10 and every 5 I'd be looking at. Structure looks good though right now to hold further bullish pressure. It looks very similar to what it did down here. Very, very similar. So possibly you get some consolidation. If you do, bang. It's a tough one though. It's just basically follow the trend. There's not a great amount of market structure you can do here. It's just in a ballistic trend. A few people asking about Bitcoin, your thoughts. Definitely go back to the first 5 minutes of this video. Check that out. I'd highly suggest you go over the 5 to probably 15-minute marker on what we've talked about. You should be able to go back over the history. We talked all about Bitcoin, but I know a lot of people are interested and excited about it at the moment and also scared. All right, well, we'll take some more stocks here. We've got Uber as a request. It's another one that everyone's been talking about recently. I spoke about it on Friday. Same kind of thing. We've got a market structure that's starting to form through here. We've got resistance at 56. That's going to be your alert to get the next breakout. We've got a 52 open. So it's coming back down to the low. Basically, 49 should hold support. You can see here 49 previous buys. So many buys, guys. There's been buying here. There was resistance here, buying, and a 50 exponential on the daily. So hopefully the 49, if it comes down to that point, which most likely it will now that it's gotten a bit lower, tests that, hopefully find some buying pressure. Yeah, I think that probably makes sense. And then if you're looking at, oh, well, what do I do next with it? Let's say you bought down here and you decided that was good for your system and your approach. Then you're going to draw, again, your range. You clearly have a nice little range forming here. Again, we've got the 1, the 1, the 2, the 2. Got our range. That's sweet. Take the distance. And that's going to be extrapolated out. If it gets back up to the resistance and breaks it, you're kind of target. And that's all you're doing with price action. You're trying to figure out, we're using TA, statistically likely targets for your entries. Yeah, I like the support there. We've got Thomas coming in here. Thomas Donegan saying, I think Canada, $1.49 for a hamburger. Thanks very much, Thomas. Appreciate that, man. Kim Lim says they had Neo Day on the weekends. Oh, man. Neo and these... I love these EV companies. They're so funny. I remember in 17, I remember during every bubble and every single stock ever like these, when they're in a sector, that you always have these like days or alerts. And I remember watching them for altcoins years ago, and there was just people playing music and dancing around, and the altcoin would go up 300% because they announced something that was baseless. It was just hilarious. But the thing is that, yes, those kind of events do hype off. Remember, it's more of a buy the rumor, sell the fact generally on those kind of things, unless there was a solid announcement. If it's not, have a look at the announcement. If it's not that great, maybe it's a buy the rumor, sell the fact there. Ed Jones says, how much do you look at fundamentals, Tom? It's a good question, Ed. It depends on your time frame. If I'm planning on being in something for a day, why the hell do I care about fundamentals? I don't. You'll hear some really... There are a few good YouTube TA guys, okay? I usually can tell whether someone trades big money or doesn't, or at least has had exposure to multiple years in the markets. And a lot of them, and I'll say the same thing, I don't really care what the chart is. It could be orange juice, it could be, it could be anything. It could be Coca-Cola cans, it could be Bitcoin, it could be alts, doesn't matter. It's all about the price action and the market structure if you're going to trade it for a small period of time. Now, when it comes to investing, let's say 1 to 5 years, yeah, I care about the fundamentals. You have to. I care about my moat. I care about my cash flow. I care about the PE. I care about the company. I care about the trajectory of the earnings over time, the general price action, etc. So anything from 1 to 2 weeks, I care less. If you're going 2 to, maybe a few months, 6 months, I care about the fundamentals quite a lot. If I go 6 months onwards, I care about the fundamentals almost 50%, if not more. So it depends on the time frame. Down here, though, no, I do not care. Planko says, do you adjust your settings for the moving average depending on the range of time, or you're always using 20, 50, 100, 200? So I usually use 20, 50, 200. 100's okay. You don't need to adjust them, man. I understand that when you go through the smaller time frames, you're going to think, I need to use faster moving averages. Using the slower ones will give you better entries. It's not about 10 or 50 entries in a day. It's about winning them. If you win 3 trades a day and you're getting 2 to 1 on those, you're a god. You're the best. If you're taking 50 trades and eking out 2 net win, that's bad. You will be set up for disaster long term. I know you're winning and you're making money at this stage, but that is not the way you want to do it. Because when you scale up your account, if you're at $1,000 right now or $10,000 right now, people don't understand when you go bigger, you go 100,000 or $1 million, the psychology of that money will just destroy you. It will completely wreck your trades. because it's all of a sudden a very real amount. Now, maybe $1,000 is a lot, but when you get bigger amounts, it becomes, even more pressurized. Let's go back over to the future screen here. Just quickly refresh this. So we've got the S&P, it looks like, still coming down a little bit. It's kind of hovering around that zone. I mentioned before the VIX is up 23.6 here. Let's load that VIX up. But firstly, we'll load the put-call ratio from the CBOE, put that on a line chart, just have a look where that's at. So that's basically still sitting in the middle range, so nothing too interesting there. Let's load up the VIX. We'll use this one. So the VIX here is 23.7. So that's a bit of a jump here for the VIX. Move back over the candles. Take a look at this one. So the VIX has jumped twice recently. And it's meant basically nothing to the stock market. Basically nothing. This VIX has given us no love. So it's not been that great. That being said, now we're at a point where we need the VIX to actually hold a number for it to say, okay, this is going to tell us something, or precursor. I don't think there's too much we can learn here about precursoring from the VIX, other than every time it's come down to 21.5 recently, it's bounced a little bit and caused a bit of volatility. I just don't think there's too much structure here that I'm like, oh yes, I can predict something using the volatility index right now. Maybe you can. I find it very difficult to think we can. Adrian Siwona says, guys, which broker allows me to open a demo account to trade on the market open? So you basically just need a futures. Well, do you want to trade market open or do you want to trade futures, Adrian? That's really a question that you want to ask yourself. Yeah, Pepperstone definitely has demo accounts. They're in Australia. If you're in America, though, you won't be able to use them. So you can pretty much use Webull. I think there's a Webull link I've gotten down below. If you open an account, guys, support the channel. If you're thinking about using Webull at some point, click those links. And I think you put like $100 in or something and I get a very small kickback. But yeah, these kind of things definitely worthwhile. Webull, I believe, has the full paper trading over here as well, which is kind of cool. So let's have a look around here at some big companies coming into the market open. Let's get rid of let's get everything here. So we've got 526. Put this a little bit higher, just to reduce the amount of companies that we're looking at. We do like looking at the big caps whenever possible. So pre-market, what have we got? We've got Lilly coming in pretty hot here. And we've got bad as Boeing. So Boeing's coming back down to earth a little bit here. Obviously, we're going to see extended problems. Lululemon, something we mentioned at the beginning, is 2.48% down. $77, another US $4 for a coffee. Man, Sandollar, we've missed you, bro. Happy New Year to you, Sandollar. Thank you very much for a donation. Appreciate that. Helps me, of course, feel extra energized at 12:09 in the morning. Unfortunately, here in Australia, where I'm from, daylight savings and the double one gets us to a 1:30 open for the market. I also want to say thank you very much to each and every one of you, 488 viewers right now. It's a great start back considering we've been off for a couple of weeks. So thank you very much. If you haven't already subscribed, definitely consider doing so if you want to learn more about technical analysis, more about markets just in general. And we cover a broad range of markets on the channel purely because I guess I like all trades. I like everything. So we've got here Boeing's coming back down. That was actually something that I was looking at the other day. It could be a little bit of a sleeper longer term if you get the right price, but again, that's not looking too good. Facebook down 267 here, 1.78 down. What else is interesting? Tesla 880. We'll look at that a little bit later. Salesforce. Now, where are we? That is one I'm interested in. Salesforce down 1.56%. We might look at a chart for that one. And of course, PayPal down. So it looks like there's a bit of tech in here that's coming on down. Berkshire Hathaway still 234. It's been a decent pickup in most portfolios. Amazon, again, some of these tech stocks, other than maybe the Googles, haven't been really performing that well over the last kind of 5 months when you look at it. Gareth says, where is Siddharth? Siddharth was here on Friday. IG Index is a nice one. Interactive Brokers, says Valdo. Yeah, they have a demo. They also have some old-ass software, Valdo. Do you use their software? I remember using Interactive Brokers years ago, and they have every market in the world, pretty much. And why can't they upgrade their software? Have they done it in 2020? Someone let me know. Have they upgraded their software? That was some terrifying stuff, that software was. Dr. Horton says, been watching defense contractors getting beaten down with the blue wave. Biden soon to be in charge, for instance, LMT. How's things looking on that? Well, all right, Dr. Horton, let's have a look at that one. It's interesting. So this is Lockheed. So this is actually interesting phenomenon. So it's getting sold off with the blue wave. I think it's fair to get sold off. It's had a pretty bad time of it as well. It's been historically an amazing investment. Obviously, since 2016, it went crazy. But if we go to a weekly, let's have a look at a weekly here. Get some real trend going on here. So you can see it's had some pretty interesting times. We had, of course, that crash period in the markets. Then we had this pullback. We had the GFC. And we had what's happening around. So, look, support has been broken here. It's clear. Go to the daily. What are we seeing on Lockheed? Absolutely melting through this level. But at some point, this sell-off will most likely close and, become more of a buying pressure. Now, you might have one good quarter as well that comes out of this, like a surprise quarter, where basically it's usually a phenomenon that happens when you see this and you haven't had gun law changes and all those types of things. You see a massive influx of sales. And then, of course, that's followed by, potential legislation change. So this is a very interesting close. And it's caused a 335 sell-off here. You would think there's further downside pressure here. We've got previous support, kind of a little bit of support through here. Market struggled through this zone. It's clearly in a sell-off. One thing I'm noticing, it's holding this 20. So again, if we see the market selling off, it comes back to a 20. Could be a selling opportunity. Could be a selling opportunity. Where could it go? Maybe even 300. One to watch for sure for this Lockheed. Johnny says, did you see there was a flight that went missing? Didn't look into it. Don't know anything other than the headline. Yeah, that was in Indonesia. So, Mr. Magus says 3:30 a.m. open in New Zealand. Mr. Magus, you are a keen person for the US market. And why not? The US market is technically the best market. Well, not even technically. It is the best market in the world to trade. Nick says you got to plug your classes too, man. All right, Nick. Well, yes, you can come to fxevolution.com and, of course, take advantage of some of the classes and some of the things. We work with some pretty interesting partners here in Australia. So we've definitely been around. We're about to celebrate 10 years doing this, guys. 10 years. So I've been trading for longer than that, but I've been doing FX Evolution for 10 years. That's a while. Not many people have been around that long in the TA world, I can tell you that much. Let's have a quick look at these as well. This is the last year of returns. A few things I think is interesting. Got some sidelining profits here on utilities. Might be worthwhile looking into the sector. XLF, I don't care about that anymore. I feel like it's done its job. We talked about XLF here. We talked about energy here. I know many people are getting into Exxon and other things. And yeah, I don't know about real estate in America. That scares the crap out of me, but fair enough. And then we've got the stimulus checks, which I don't particularly like to trade off, but it is there. And we've got the technology. Technology is definitely fair. One of the things I was talking about the other day is also industrials. What's going on in industrials? We had a little bit of a poke out here, but it's been consolidating for some time. So we had the healthcare consolidation. That's now moving out. Great returns there. Very, very happy with what's happening with healthcare. Biotech as well. All those types of things. XLI, definitely worthwhile sector to look at. And if we think about usually the performances of what does well, you'll notice here on this chart between value, etc. Value is just still getting crushed overall. And we're still getting small caps come through hard since the election. And overall, I guess, high dividend yield has also done terribly. So there might be some people that move away from growth into high dividend yield when they start looking for income, if growth starts to kind of trajectory. But it's interesting to look at these charts. I always like to have these on my charting software just to know what's going on. Another thing you should do during the week is also know the kind of news and information that's coming out. Of course, here we're on Monday. Monday is not much of an informational week. Obviously, we have more a political problem this week with that impeachment discussion, all that kind of stuff going on. Bunch of FOMC kind of random lower stuff. We've got Fed Chair, our good friend, Mr. Powell. He's coming out. He's having a chat with us. 4:30 a.m. this time. I'm not going to live stream that, guys. I can't bring myself to get up at 4:30 a.m. But Fed Chair Powell is having a bit of a chat to us this week about what's going on. Say the same thing as he always does. The market usually goes up, actually, into Powell's speeches generally, and then sells off during his speeches. Someone might want to collate that data. It's pretty interesting stuff. Collating that data. I should get that for you. Pretty cool. So this is forexfactory.com. It's quite good to check out. We had a look at Nifty before, Sarah. Basically, it's just on a trajectory to the moon. I think it's getting underneath that 15,000. James, can someone just get rid of that? You can't have the phone numbers in here, bruh. I'll do it. One sec. No, I can't do it. Yeah, someone else can do that. Gareth says he's going to get the mug when we make it. I like that, Gareth. We will make the mug. It needs to be high quality. Does anyone know the best high quality mugs that we can put like stuff on, logos on, or just like comments and stuff? That would be really cool if someone knows a good one. Most of them look trash. I'm not all about the trash. I hate trash. Not much of a consumer really from that aspect. So we'll go back over what's happening. Dollar index continuing its strong kind of pressure up here during the stream. It's been a little bit bullish, a little bit of movement. We'll go back over to our Webull kind of pre-market. What do we got going on here? Again, Biogen, nice. Lilly, Baidu, interesting one. Nvidia still trading very, very strong here. It's always been a great company. Definitely wish I picked up more of that years ago when it was like 30 bucks. It's been good though. Can't back against that one. Toyota, what else? Mostly you see a red really, led by that Boeing. In the big caps anyway. SAP as well. Now I did say I wanted to look at CRM, which is obviously Salesforce. So I did want to look at this because I want to look at the market structure with you guys. Check this structure out even on the 1 hour chart. Now I hate the 1 hour chart, but we're on it. What an interesting structure point that's happening recently. Resistances to the 223, supports through the 216. Pretty nice supports as well. Little bit of a channel starting to form around here. See how that plays out over the next day or two. But I wanted to bring up this one. This needs to hold, and I repeat, needs to hold 216. Now, obviously, they bought Slack, I believe, and all those types of things, but it needs to hold this level. If it gets through here, it could be looking at a fairly steep sell-off down to at least $200. So support here at 216 must hold for people that like this stock. And I'm actually a bit of a bull on these kind of stocks. Now, if you actually even think about how much return it's had, so this is the return, obviously great run up to it, bad kind of, February into the start. Then we had that big run up. And then it's kind of lagged since then. It hasn't done so well. I think that's increased competition, obviously devaluation, all those type of things through the offer. But I like this 216. I'm very interested to continue watching that zone. Ryan says, Tom, Twitter. Yeah, I have a Twitter, but I don't really use it. You wanted me to look at Twitter, I assume? Yeah, Twitter, is that moving a bit? Should be moving down fairly hard, I would think. Yeah, 7.93%. So obviously this is off the back of banning, many people call it freedom of speech. Obviously Trump got banned with all these little side accounts. I often wondered this. If Trump got banned, which he did, I wonder how pissed he is about not being able to tweet right now. Because he must love it. He must love having 100. Like, anyone loves it, yeah? You get 100,000 retweets, 400,000 retweets. I wonder if he's got, like, a sick withdrawal right now. I feel like he has massive withdrawals. Definitely would have withdrawals, I feel. This has got a monster trend line on it. So, there's definitely a big-ass... let's get rid of that. Big trend line on Twitter, which has been pretty stable. So it's interesting that we're opening up right around that trend line. See how this is a trend line. That's a serious one. Through the bodies is the idea. These wicks, whatever. But through the bodies is the idea. And you can see even on the top end side, it's been very consistent as well for nailing take profit levels to a degree. You know, you pull this through. Again, trend line's not my favorite, but this is an absolute channel on the way up. No way. Maximus says, I don't think their next earnings would be great. Yeah, Twitter has a tendency to do this, doesn't it, during its earnings reports? Whoops, we didn't do as well as we said we would. But don't worry, we're a tech stock. The only stocks that can recover these 20% losses, 30% losses in a day are tech stocks and random healthcare. Because it's actually very hard for a stock to come back generally from these kind of big declines. If you ever see a decline that's like in the vicinity of 20% in one day, it's actually statistically likely that that stock is not coming back for a very long time. The only thing I find is against that, tech. But if it comes out of a miner or something, it's not good. I don't buy those kind of things. Yeah, Parler as well, Maximus, absolutely. Sundays says, all in for me on the BTC. All right, man. All in, eh? I had my coffee meeting today with the barista, and he told me he bought altcoins. I mentioned this a while ago. I got this thing with the whenever the barista's telling me to invest in stuff, I'm always very, very scared. He goes to me today, he goes, don't worry, I got the altcoins. And I said, oh my goodness, there we go. And he was telling me about some guy that made $500,000 supposedly trading Bitcoin in 4 weeks, which is definitely possible, especially with these kind of runs. But it was just funny. It's in the altcoins. All right, let's get some more stocks in here. So, or just in general currencies or commodities or whatever. Put some stuff in the room. Let's go through some together. Look for structure. Be first time I see some of them. Went through a lot of the stuff we already had for today. Obviously, we were examining this phenomenon on Bitcoin, which is the Lunar New Year phenomenon. We talked about this quite a lot. Definitely go check out 5 to probably 15 minutes into the stream, that area there, if you want to find out more about our thoughts there. Yeah, BTC, the standard decline that happens every single year into Lunar New Year, bounces off generally, and nice bullish momentum usually comes after Lunar New Year. This year, it is 12th of Feb for the Lunar New Year. All right, well, we've got currencies. I like currencies. All right, man. Let's do some of this. Oh, a bit of a sell-off here coming through crypto. See, it moves quick. That's another thing I find that's kind of interesting about crypto. Look at this. Look at this pressure come down here, guys. We're watching it live. 33,100. Basically dropped in an hour 1,000 a bit dollars. I was always wondering like how fast people must hedge off when they take Bitcoin as a currency. So like, yeah, you can buy this bike with the Bitcoin, and then they get the Bitcoin. Oh crap, we lost all of our profit. Or we made about 3 bikes in profit if they don't convert it off. So we'll definitely be watching this. That's going to be interesting. Let's go over to some of these currencies. So we've got here odd US dollar. Now, for anyone that's not interested in currencies, currency is actually one of the best places to learn TA, if not the best. It gives you the most amount of basically market structure opportunities. It gives you, it's purely TA because understanding fundamentals of currency is almost pointless. And yeah, it's always a good one. So firstly, I usually go the daily, the weekly. So we want to go the weekly. We'll do top down here. Just go to the top down, figure out what's going on. So we know that 80 is a key level. There's definitely some resistance selling around 80. We also know that this 77 has been a weird zone as well for the odd dollar. This is back through the previous history. Look at this. Crazy level, crazy level. Okay, that's interesting. Nice double bottom here, by the way. Beautiful double bottom. I love that. So really, really, really strong price action coming into this zone. That's on the weekly. Go down to the daily. We know the daily 20 held once. So that's certainly going to be a targeted zone if it comes back down again. Something I'm going to look at, something I'm going to try to line up with previous support. Now, if we get a bit of a flash here due to the dollar strength, resistance, support could become support again. We'd want to take a fib of this whole move as well. Be worthwhile doing that, I think. Why is it worthwhile doing the fib? Because really, this is a very, very, very good little pullback zone. All right, so we got 23.6, an aggressive fib here of the whole move. This fib is definitely valid. A lot of people ask, where do you draw the fibs from? Wick to wick, not body to body, generally wick to wick, unless the wick is just completely whack and it was like a one-day flash event. So we could come back down to this zone here, find some support. We go to the 4 hour. We notice that we've got that kind of lightning bolt down, which definitely is putting pressure on here. Looks like this is going to go short down to this zone. And what I'm going to look for here if I was trading this pair is I'm going to look for little double bottoms. I'm going to look for lightning bolt ups. I'm going to look for bullish hammers all around this zone. Engulfing candles, 50 wise men, all these types of things. You're gonna want all of these things here at this zone. This is a key level that you believe that when the market broke under this zone, it's going to structurally go towards this. What is as well, it's not really a key psychological zone, anything like it's not 76 flat or anything like that. But I tend to find the odd dollar likes 50-cent increments. So that would be 76.50, 76, 75.50, etc. So cool zone, definitely interesting, still valid to more of an uptrend than a downtrend. But it has for the first time gotten through this 50 pretty considerably, did that here and flashed to the 20 moving average. So that's kind of analysis I would do on the odd US dollar. It's a good little breakthrough, I think, there. New Zealand, Swiss, and ARC. All right, we'll definitely look at ARC. People love ARC. I guess it makes them a lot of money, so fair enough. New Zealand, Swiss. Do I have that in this chart or do I bring it up? Long-time viewers would know I hate the trading anything to do with the Swiss franc. I don't particularly love these ones from usually a price action standpoint. But yeah, this is a pretty nice little breakout here. Let's have a look how the price action's been recently. So let's go to the weekly. Okay, so this one here, well, firstly, we got through a really considerable kind of trend line break. When you got this, you knew there was buying momentum coming in. I very much like what I see here as well to push to a next zone. Huge amount of wicks. So we've got wick here, wick here, wick here. And you may go, Tom, why the hell does that matter over here? It matters because you can see the strength of the buying pressure that we're here. It's like that 10K Bitcoin buying pressure I told you about a little while ago. What, 4 or 5 months ago. When you saw that, you knew the pressure was there. So there was a huge amount of buying pressure here. As soon as it cracked here, it's going to find buying area. That's the weekly. Go to the daily. It's all important down to even the 1 minute chart here, guys. So we've already found some buying pressure off the previous resistance break and generally making a series of higher highs and higher lows, which is good. We got close above the shooting star, also good for price action. Things are looking pretty solid here. Go to the 4 hour, have a look what's going on there. Nice little trend line starting to appear here. Could be worthwhile looking at pullbacks into the trend line. Potentially that, therefore, would be finding buying pressure if you're looking at the smaller time frames. And then you go down to the 1 hour. and et cetera, et cetera. So I do think that this is an interesting level, this 63.83. It's not statistically good enough for me. I like even more reasons. I like usually more solid kind of support resistance. I like better price action into it and stuff. But yeah, it looks pretty bullish. And that's definitely a break at the previous high. So looks nice. Dollar index, we looked at it quite a few times. 20 moving average is the key you want to be looking at there. It's interesting how many people are wanting this dollar index right now. Everyone's hyped for the dollar. 90.70 could act as definitely key resistance. Nice breakthrough here happening here. It's putting pressure on again gold. And this would be probably where you do see some selling pressure come back into the dollar index. But this is well overdue. It's broken through. We need to see daily close to really confirm that this is not just some crappy fake out. But at this stage, looking very, very good. All right, we'll do ARK now because that's been requested quite a few times. Now, do you want ARK Resources or did you want ARK the crypto? Which one are you looking for? Definitely let me know. Because I'm not sure which one you're going to be talking about. So just let me know that and then we'll cover it. This is a good one. So Slavzoot said, cause FCA in the UK said, y'all, which I cannot say properly, so sorry for that, Americans out there. This may drop to 0 and there won't be anything we can do in case you thought about it. So basically what they're mentioning there is if you trade currencies, the one thing that happens is that you can go negative balance because you're trading a massively leveraged item. So in the UK, they've got like a $0 kind of guarantee where they say that it can't go underneath. That's coming to Australia as well. ARK Innovation. So the standard ARK. The ARK that most people talk about. Yeah. All right. So this particular fund obviously is probably, well, Kathy is very well known now due to the outperformance of pretty much every index in the world. Very, very, very impressive returns here. We actually had this 50 kind of as a hallmark we were looking at back in September, I remember. But look at this outperformance. I mean, it's pretty incredible to think it was $83 here and people were thinking it was expensive, and now it's trading at $141. So look, very, very nice investment. It's a multitude of different companies, of course. It's done incredibly well out of Tesla, etc. There's not much you can say other than it's in a bull heaven. And to really look at this, because it's not traditionally an index or anything, I would basically have to go and look at the stocks that it's carrying. And I'd say, okay, what are these stocks? And go and look at the percentages on the stocks. I wouldn't do my analysis so much on ARK. I'd do my analysis on the indices. And I'd do my analysis on the stocks that it's carrying in their top 10. Because otherwise, like, this is not going to be statistically as likely. What you've got here is a percentage. Like, it's not everyone's looking at ARK's technical analysis. They're just buying it because it's worth the sum of its products. Kind of like an index, but everyone looks at the index. So I wouldn't TA this too much. Doesn't mean you can't invest in it. It's done very well, but I wouldn't TA it too much. Gareth says Contango. What I may be asking a question about Contango. Yeah, Contango is common on oil, so definitely got to be careful of that. If you don't know what Contango is, might be worthwhile learning about it. It definitely caught a lot of people out in 2020. So I think, unfortunately, Contango can be a real thing. Oil starting to come off that range that we had drawn from Friday and the weekends. So starting to sell off here. Obviously, we had our target in this range for the profit of the movement. Got this 20 exponential moving average again, finding the pressure multiple times. Would be a bad sell-off down here to the 49. Finds pressure support on the 20 and then bounces off that zone. Eggsy Unwin said, Kathy Wood said people should expect a 20% return in 2021 and there would be a doozy of a pullback this year. Yeah, I tend to agree there'll be a pullback this year. So was her theory on 20% return on the index or 20% return on her fund. I definitely think there will be a decent pullback, though, that occurs. The moving averages, John, are 20 exponential, 50 exponential, and 200 simple moving average generally. So it looks like all markets are pretty much moving down here a little bit with that VIX. We've got a 37.92. 1% down now on the US 500 coming into the market open. So we're looking at less than an hour now before the open. Pretty exciting. We've got pre-market changes here. Still got some positives and some negatives. Basically, Boeing is still out there. Alibaba, also one that's got a lot of that political risk as well. That's been an interesting kind of purchase around this zone. Square also down 2.7. Seems the pressure continues to come in on a decent amount of the tech stocks. Even Apple now down 1.51%. Where's Apple trading? 132. 880 still holding for Tesla. So it's interesting to see this sell off. Let's have a quick look at the news screener and see what's coming in here. So Denny's stock falls after fourth quarter. Same stores fell by third. So a little bit of earnings coming through. Stocks futures, of course, the impeachment discussions, big one as well. Any kind of uncertainty the market doesn't like. Yes. Now that I should have owned. Should have bought some Crocs. I saw all these people walking around with them in their house. It's interesting when you can just like notice people doing something and you just think that probably is replicated by hundreds, if not thousands, if not millions. And it usually stands true. Some guy from Magellan, if you don't know what Magellan is, very big investment company. He used to invest, or he still does. He invests a lot off the trends that he sees and that he believes those trends will hold up. So he thinks about them a lot logically. Obviously, you want the cash flow, you want everything else. But remember, it's the X factor that you bring to your investments, whether it's the technical analysis and knowing where to take profit or knowing where a kind of hold or a buy zone is going to be, or it's the X factor of understanding, hey, this makes a logical sense and therefore probably is going to play out before everyone else sees it, that what you want to be doing as much as possible. Eggsy says 20% return on ARK. Yeah, so I definitely believe 2021 is going to have a seriously nice pullback. We mentioned this before. We went through some data here, went through historical returns, went through basically the different quarters here for the last couple of years. We can see that quarter one generally historically has been, it's okay. And then we've also had some pretty bad ones as well. But the big one for me was that February tends to be a pretty crappy month. And the January actually hasn't been that great for the last couple of years. For the last 10 years, hasn't been that great. But in general, what's held true throughout time? April is a stonker. It is a sick month to invest. I've invested many times in April over the last couple of years. It's been very, very good to me. Then you got the July, even more crazy if you look at these stats. And then, of course, nothing wrong with the good old Christmas rush. Now, one thing about the Christmas rush, I tend to like it a lot in the November. And you can actually usually get out a little bit late in November and then get in about mid-December. And you run that through to like 3rd of Jan, 4th of Jan. And then usually you can bail town it if you're trading. Talked about that on the channel as well. By the way, we've got a huge amount of new viewers here. If you haven't already and you're enjoying what you see, consider, of course, subscribing and giving this video a thumbs up. It does help us out. And there's 471 viewers out there right now. So thank you very much. Bitcoin continues getting pummeled here, 32,962. So it's going to start putting pressure on our lows here. Starting to put pressure on our lows. Now, what's the next stop if it gets through these lows? Well, you'd have to think it's down here at 30,000. You'd have to think that if Bitcoin gets through, closes below here, it's going to put pressure on the 30,000 right down in this zone. You'll notice here as well, Bitcoin seems to not like holding outside this 1 hour Bollinger on this way down. Every time it's gone out that 1 hour Bollinger, it's tend to find a decent amount of selling pressure. This time though, if it comes down underneath this 1 hour Bollinger, it's going to be underneath the 32,350. So it could put some pressure on the 30K today. Let's have a look. We'll definitely continue to watch this one. Decent movements here. See here about $400 just got put back on it. So it should hopefully find buying pressure here. But if it gets through and closes below there, 30K would probably be the next level. Odd dollar continues its little drop here. Probably got some movement on dollar index overall. Very interesting. Slav says 4% rally as the government announces a lockdown potentially till March. Someone finally woke up to the news today, it seems. Well, definitely is the beginning of potentially some form of reality. But look, I mean, we've had plenty of sell-offs throughout this big movement up. We've had plenty of kind of little flashy kind of sell-offs, and this isn't even getting started yet, really. Remember, the 20 has been holding the S&P 500, so we're here at 50 minutes away kind of levels. We've got 20 exponential continuously holding this US 500 up at this stage. We haven't even looked at QQQ yet. Let's have a look at QQQ. So we'll load up that one, check that out. Again, the 20 has been incredibly solid here on the pickup. And look, it's bounced out 319, 320, gotten outside the Bollinger on the daily as well pretty strongly here. And now we've got a 0.79 pre-market down. So this has been, again, very good investment. Obviously doing incredibly well here. But the 20 exponential remains that kind of symbol of we need to see a body close underneath. Not a gap and then it comes through. We need to see it come down. Body close underneath the 20 for us to think there's further significant selling to 300 where you are going to find some form of buying pressure through the multiple resistances becoming support. And then, of course, underneath that, maybe a 292 further down. I think 300 would be the stop, though, for QQQ at this stage. James Johnson says, I am not buying BTC until it hits 25K. Hey, Siddharth. Good to have you here as well. What else have we got going on here? FTSE dropping, says Slav. Yep, we went through that. TA on EVBG. EVBG. What is this? Everbridge. Whoa. That thing is, yeah, it's had a very nice little level here. Damn, that's an interesting little buy zone, this EVBG. Looks pretty decent. Let's get rid of these Bollingers. They're just distracting us from what we want to see. Let's go through the weekly here. So it's been very, very standard, well, very, very good last couple of years. Clearly have a big trend line that's probably coming through multiple buys through here. This looks like, it's done everything correctly for further bullish momentum. You've gotten through at least all of these kind of series of lower highs on the way down. You've broken through, you've retested, found huge buying pressure there, which is excellent. It's what you want to see. And some people would call this, and I think fairly so, in the pullback, you got your left shoulder, your head, and your right shoulder, and kind of your neckline through here. So there could be a lot more bullish momentum. It obviously needs to get past 160, but everything's looking good. And that was a good pickup if that's what you're looking at. So I don't mind this. I mean, it's not, again, for me too much, but when you have to look at these, you've got to give some opinion on it. And I don't mind this level anyway, this 132. Yeah, it's all right. Zaki says, yes, 1 million will be my next target. Yeah, I haven't looked at AMD lately. That's a good one. Let's check that out. AMD has been doing very, very cool. So we had our support. We've got our lines that we've drawn up. Obviously, we had our support of 74. Nice break nice testing. And of course, we've got one of our favorite little setups here, which could be pressuring. Look at this rejection candle here. It's got our nice rejection candle that's come through, and we're trying to break a close above that. That would have, of course, blown this completely through, and it would have, oh, look where it stopped. So it stops here before 100. What does that mean? I'll let the community tell this. Community, tell everybody what generally happens when a market coils right underneath a round number. It coils underneath there. It does all this stuff. What will it stop at 100 or not? Will there be resistance at 100 or not? Yes or no, based on this price action, based on what we're seeing over here on the right hand side. Some people will call this like a little teacup too. Go over to Bitcoin quickly while we wait for that one. A few people coming in here saying sell the Bitcoins. Nah, doesn't mean you got to sell it. Just we've lined up these areas here, and we obviously know that there's a next rotation. A few people coming in. Kunal is correct. No, absolutely. Yeah, it won't stop at 100 most likely. The reason why is you've got that coiling structure coming into it. When it stops just before 100, a retail trap is that people think it's going to stop at the 100 and they try to sell it down. The coil is basically the market getting ready. It's springing, it's getting ready, and just goes bang straight out the gates. And when it does that, it might go this distance here, and then of course it'll smash that 100. Just like Bitcoin underneath 20 the second time. Go back, have a look at that. You'll learn so much about TA from doing that. So here we've got the movement. Here we've got the break, most likely like a 105 if it happens. And the key here is that it needs to break through and close above this point. Who cares about this? It needs to get above here. That will show bullish momentum. Right now, we're looking at a 93.80 pre-market. So it's not going to do it today, most likely. But yeah, that's what you're looking for in those kind of setups. Nice price action here, though, on AMD. Pretty beautiful. Go to pre-market again here. Still Lily's up the top. 3.42% down now for Lululemon. That was the one that gave a great result, but again, not up to the expectations of the market. Just shows you when you can go top end range and still not get there. A few other questions coming in for Foot says it will crush through 100. Zana says down to 0. Talking about Bitcoin. You obviously have some CFDs selling there, Zana, I would assume. Oh, look, the sellers have come in. All the people want to go Bitcoin selling. Nah. You gotta remember, like, it may sell off down to 30 or 25, but there will be a huge amount of buying pressure at levels. And when those levels get hit, short selling Bitcoin is terrifying. Because you can do it into Lunar New Year and all those things, but just remember, there are charts that talk about, and they do the same type of seasonal. Sell off, sideline, pull up. That's the kind of thing that does happen. So just be careful there. All right, we've got some other stocks coming in here that people want to take a look at. Shop is another one. I think Shop has been very, very good share. Oops, we don't want to shop like that. Get it on this one. Go Shopify. Shopify, beautiful double bottom. I remember looking at this with the community. Wait, no, I don't. Not that one, but it is a beautiful double bottom. I remember looking at this level, I believe. Let's go to the daily. There it is. Oh, man, that's so good. What a great level. Slightly came underneath it, but still, beautiful zone to pick it up, guys. What a great zone. Previous resistances across the board. You had that coil coming into the break. Resistance, resistance, resistance. Your ranging is going to become your buy. So you're basically just drawing that up. You're getting your range out, getting the rectangle, pulling it across. And then, of course, that becomes the zone that you're looking at. How nice is that? Really, really nice. Had a little double bottom on the 1 hour too. Beautiful. Where to next for this? Well, hopefully it would go the continuation of your overall channel range. So you would hope that Shop can get it done. Just underneath 1400. Let's hope so. Very nice though. Beautiful. Miso Blast. This stock, whoa, $13.75. Jesus. Wow, wow, wow. That is insane. Just because it was underneath some pretty serious structure here. Underneath the structure, news result, bang. Oh, well done on that one, guys, if you got into it. Yes. Very interesting that it got through this and had this gap, and then, of course, got the beautiful news, whatever that may be. Shows you when fundamentals take full control. Obviously, this you can't do anything about, but this is also a risk of trading and short selling against the stock. Buying is one thing, it often recovers, but if you sold down here and you got a CFD, that ain't going to get hit. You don't have no guaranteed stop, yeah? That's a problem. One analysis suggests that if BTC captures just 10% of banking transactions, it'll double again from where it is. I don't see how BTC is going to get 10%, but I'm sure a lot of people would debate me on that one. But I just don't see how that's even possible. How any government anywhere will ever allow that. It's going to be very, very tough. But BTC has inherent other great reasons. So, of course, it's and also it's trade. You can trade it to your heart's content. So this pound continues to come down to the promised land, which we talked about before. Nice to see that there. AMD, I think that was pretty good analysis there on AMD, if I do say so. Quite liked what we saw. We'll use the standard BTC, I think. What's it doing? Is it doing something interesting? So 33,500 now. So it's moved up a little bit. Moved up a little bit recently. Still got those lines just sitting there. But that's something very, very interesting in the morning. Let's go over to our screener here on the futures. Just quickly refresh this. So we've got a 24 now on the VIX. So VIX is definitely rising here. We've got 37.85 now on this particular futures. Under 13,000 on the Nasdaq here as well. So some interesting Monday sessions. Now, what do we know about the Monday session? It tends to do this kind of thing, yeah? Retail traders trade the Monday. We all get excited. We go, hell yeah, the market's back open. It's time to trade. And then the stocks go the opposite way after the first hour. So remember, the first hour is not a good indication of what's going to happen for the rest of the day. The close is the key when it comes to stock markets. That is actually the candle that's locked in time. The open is just a bit of fun. Most people trade in the back. Slav says, I would only use CFDs to trade ETFs of major indices. Well said there, Slav. Plus 500 offers guaranteed stops on those, but no guarantees on individual stocks. That's because to move an indice like we saw in 2020 with like a 7% move is basically negligible. Also, they can hedge it constantly. All the way through the day, they can hedge those off. So that's why they'll offer that type of thing. Let's bring up our screener. We're only about 36 minutes off the open now. So we'll bring up our screener. We'll bring it up on this chart, I think. It's probably going to be the best one. We'll get our 6 screener going on here. Obviously, we're using TradingView here, guys. TradingView, a pretty good platform. If you want to do TA, I definitely suggest TradingView as probably the best, in my opinion, purely because you have the opportunity of pretty much getting any chart. Some things I don't like about certain software is for TA is that you don't have any chart. Like you trade Australian stocks, you can get them here. You trade European stocks, you can get the charts here. That's awesome. See the Dow here coming under a little bit of pressure. We've got US dollar really being the standout of the morning. So we'll definitely load that up and we've got that there for when we need it a little bit later. All right, let's take some more. So we haven't even done Tesla yet. Tesla, of course, trading at that. Oh, okay, now it's an 864. It was sitting at about 880. So Tesla's still on the hype train of no stopping. The only thing we can really say here is that obviously the trajectory has gone crazy spaz, and it's also got a huge amount of gaps coming through. So we've got gap into gap into gap into gap. So what does that generally tell us? Well, we had here gap into gap into pretty big bullish momentum. Again, gap into gap, pretty big bullish momentum. But often this has been the stop until it actually then goes into a bit of hibernation mode. So we probably had that hype mode that's come through Tesla recently. Possibly now we go into hibernation, consolidation. I'm sure every indicator we put on this chart is going to be insanely overbought, etc. 50 exponential moving average remains kind of the buying area that has happened time and time again. Several times now, we've got the 1, 2, 3, 4 touches. The fifth touch makes sense that could be also a zone. So I'm not saying any kind of big pullbacks here, but this is certainly getting very vertical and is due to the gaps and all other types of price action going on. Potentially some consolidation coming through here on Tesla. Sweetening said, I'm going to load up on the Tesla when it drops. Yeah, I think there's certainly a case here to say that it's going to have a minor correction. Now, a few people saying, does it stop at 900? So yeah, generally speaking, Tesla's liked its rounds. So if we bring down this, there's us just under 700. Notice it stops just before and then does its little sell-off. We've talked about this a lot on the channel. 800 for some reason didn't really act hard. I guess that was just because of, just the general massive amount of hype behind it. Then we got the 900, but before that, certainly things like 500, you can see here, acted as really great resistance, etc. So yeah, I do pay attention to the $100 and 50s on Tesla. I think it trades based on human psychology as well. Big gaps though, these particular ones, I think tend to mean there is going to be some consolidation moving forward. I just want to shout out 509 viewers watching right now. Thank you very much to each and every one of you. If you haven't already, consider, of course, subscribing if you like what you're seeing, and give us a big thumbs up as well if you like the video. If you don't, you can give it a thumbs down. It's all right. I forgive you. So big things moving today. I want to look at this one. GameStop up 10.2. Stock shoots up to reaching an agreement with an investor. Very good. Very good. One of the only stocks that I am certainly looking at having a bit of fun on. What the hell is GameSpot's bloody code? Let me just get the code up for us. I've never personally traded GME, but I have a definitely got a plan for this one. Yes. Very good. 19 bucks. Okay, I'm cool with that. This stock, to me, makes relatively to no sense. No sense. I think that this one fundamentally is flawed hard. So I'm going to continue watching this one. Yeah, GME. Thanks, guys. Yes, this one I'll be watching for singles, like any kind of like symbol of decline. Because I really do feel like this stock is incredibly overpriced. It makes very little sense. They're going to, basically it's a figment. It's going to get, destroyed over the years. So we're going to continue watching this one. I think the PS5, Xbox One, etc. help it. But and this investment, but yeah, I'm gonna keep watching that one for sure. Siddharth says GME is the rubbish stock of 2020. Yeah, absolutely, Siddharth. Hey, there's nothing wrong with puts, Siddharth. There's nothing wrong with put spreads. I love options. If you're an options trader out there, all cool with me. Hey, all right, let's go back through some of the other stuff that's going on. FC Shopping says likely Tesla 666 is a buy zone. So the devil is a buy zone, FC. Poor Merlin. Merlin says, I bought BTC at 41. What should I do right now? Well, basically, Merlin, I can't give you advice on it, but there is a saying that goes with cryptocurrencies, and that's you got to hodl in, yeah? Good luck. Zaki says, retail investors buy low, sell higher. Millionaires buy high, sell higher. Yeah. Josh says Wall Street Bets, which I assume is WSB, is all over GME. Hey Josh, are they? I haven't been there for a while. I do enjoy Wall Street Bets. It's pretty hilarious. But what are their what's Wall Street? Are they buying puts? Are they putting it, or are they buying calls? They gotta be putting puts on it, yeah. Who knows? Didn't GME get that Nintendo guy? Anyway, back onto the markets. We're 29 minutes here away from the open. We've obviously got a decent amount of information coming out here about the open as well. We'll just quickly refresh this. Again, broader sense of the market. Still got volatility coming through here. We'll quickly go to the news feed on Finviz.com, see if there's any updates. Obviously, few interesting little bits here. Nothing too interesting. Let's go to Bloomberg, just load it up, see what they're talking about right now on the main page. Nothing too much. I had a look at the China stock market before. That's an interesting one. Obviously has big booms, big busts in it. Very prone to bubbles, actually. I'm not sure if it's in a bubble right now, but it's definitely prone to them. Certain stocks would be. Moving averages that we're using, 20-50 exponential moving average are the red and the blue. And then we've got 200 simple generally on our charts as well. Pre-market, anything that's changing here, not too much. Goes red pretty quickly though with these 414 results. Where's our Mackie D's? The old Maccas doing all right still. IBM, what a sloth of a company. Still trading 128. Ugh. Yuck. IBM. That is, I mean, Buffett must be glad he got rid of that demon. That thing has been so bad. Let's have a quick look at 1 week performance as well coming into Monday. I really like this heat map if you're not using heat maps. It's just so visual, so easy to see. Sectors that you might be looking at. I talk all the time on the channel about sectors that you want to focus on. So we obviously focused on the hated sector of financials a little while ago and energy. Now, what is the next sector that we want to focus on? I was even looking at tobacco a little while ago. That was an interesting one. I saw Coke as well. That got pretty sloshed the other day. Let's have a quick look at Coke here. I want to bring that up. Get that Coke open. So this is a good zone. Hit the 50 on the flat. We talked about this on Friday. Big bounce up. Big buying pressure comes through there. Nice to see Coke doing a little bit better there out of the gates. Obviously 0.69 down today. But this seems to be this 49 kind of area. You would hope some form of support here for Coke. PM was an interesting one if you have less morals. Some of these stocks can sometimes give decent opportunity. It was certainly an interesting buy down in these lows, I thought, in October. Decent return. Pretty much out of it. Target was 88. Slightly underneath is usually what we want to go. So you can just see here there was good market structure through the 70 kind of dollar zone. You had a huge amount of buying kind of pressure coming through, and we had one of my favorite little setups, the little lightning bolt come through here, close above. The market gives us the nice returns, yeah? PM, look at this. 2 rejection wicks. Ooh, I love the 2 rejection wicks. I think I should name that something. I love this so much. So when it comes down to these levels and it finds this support and then bounces off it, I just love seeing that pressure. And when that pressure comes through, as soon as you get a tick up here, bang. Then consolidation, bang, further off the 2050. It's why we use the 2050. It's why we understand lightning bolts and price action. I don't want to buy here, but I do certainly like buying there. rocket companies. What is this thing? Got a request here coming in from Joe. Rocket companies. So this hasn't been on the stock exchange for very long. Finance, rental, leasing. Sounds kind of terrifying, to be honest. Finance, rental, leasing in this market conditions. Well, you got your resistance clearly at 23, 22.81. 24 as well as act as resistance. There's some support coming through here. I guess you got to kind of wait till it either gets down here again or it's at the resistance and breaks. There's not too much for me. I don't like companies that don't have too much. For TA, hard to do TA on something that hasn't been around for so long. A few people mentioning Bitcoin slamming. Oh, okay, good. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Bang. Oh, yeah. There we go. Straight through. We got to watch this one now. We got to. Bitcoin is in the game. Look at it go. Man, there's nothing quite like cryptocurrency for getting your percentages going crazy. And to think, $6,200. And it's not even really where it came off. $6,200. Yep, that Lunar New Year thing's playing out. Keith says, time to trade. Ciao. Hey, Keith, you can leave it on in the background, man. All right, we'll see how this one closes up, guys. We'll certainly watch this. So we're about 23 minutes off market open. Obviously, Bitcoin traders are in already. They are flogging this thing right now. Where do we expect it to go if it holds underneath here? Probably tries to pressure the 30,000. Remember, right now it's pressuring the 20 exponential on the daily right around this level. It's going to be, you would think, buying pressure came in initially, but right now anything can happen. Obviously, we've got a very extended market. Bitcoin tends to like to do 20 to 30% drops. So it does tend to like to do this. We won't know we're in a blow off yet, even though it's coming down super hard, until we see how the market structure goes. But the reason we've got this line through 30,000 is a psychological level, and we saw buying pressure wicks come off it a few times here. So it's all about this zone right now. There's definitely a fight between the bulls and the bears, and it's probably the most interesting chart of the day, I would say. Let's quickly load up Ethereum as well. I'm always interested to know where the old Ethereum is going. We will not use those ones. Thought I had Ethereum US dollar in here. We'll just use this one. So Ethereum here is putting pressure back under the 1,000. That's to be expected. Again, 1352 highs. Let's have a quick look at that. How 1352.14. God, they're nasty. These whales are nasty to you guys. Look at that. Just before, heaps of people have their $1,400 targets, and then it goes, nope. So 996. So of course there should be buying pressure at 1,000. But, can it hold up? It's going to be pretty much dictated to, I'd say, by Bitcoin. And this is definitely not looking good. Got 2 wick rejections. Again, body pressure coming on here. Where's the next stop? Well, there's no market structure until 750. So Ethereum is well known as well to have these big dumps in it. Look at the dump off that happened last time. It went from $1,400 in only a few weeks down to 365, and then it went even further after that. But of course, 365, that's just not cool. So 1,000, you want that to hold if possible. Bitcoin continues to put pressure on 3180. It sounds like a horse race here. We're horse racing on the way down. So it looks like it wants to hold at least the next 5 minutes down underneath. Got 109, so we're going to close the 5 minutes in 10 seconds. Chuck it down the 5 minute chart here. So it's the first breakdown will be the 5 minute chart of significance. There it is. So now do we see a retest come up, test from the bottom down, and then really show the intentions, or do they just keep slamming it through? Siddharth says, can you set stop losses or take profits on BTC. Yeah, of course. Well, Siddharth, it's kind of like trades like a stock or a current, stock really. You can just put in stops, etc. Depends what you trade with. Obviously, you can trade in CFDs. Do whatever you want. Black Tech Hack says, "Oh my God, my money's gone." Sorry to hear that, bro. Look, well, it depends what your plan was, Black Tech. But of course, we can't tell you. Web Sidix, good to see you here. Happy 2021. Haven't seen you in the comment sections recently, Web. You got to get back in those comment sections, man. Yeah, forcing margin calls, absolutely, Jamie. This is the exact thing they do. It's really unfortunate because most people are taking it leveraged or they're taking it with all of their money. As I said, like the problem with cryptos is you need to always, if you the first time trading, first time looking at these things, first time looking at any instrument, you have to go through the history and know the history of the instrument. Bitcoin is always the booms and the busts with the long-term averages pulling up. Look at this, the booms and the busts. So if you know that and you're willing to wear it, then you just got to treat it like, okay, I believe in this. If you believe in it, then you're all right. Because you can weather these things. But they're not easy. I remember being in altcoins with some pretty big money and it wasn't easy. It's hard. And I do feel bad for people that lose their money on this. Amazon about to break 3150. Is that true, Siddharth? Webb, have you been cheating on us on the channel here? Hey, Bruce, good to have you here. Morning, Bruce. So we've got Bitcoin. I mean, it's basically just doesn't even care, does it? It's going down to the 30,000 no matter what. Look at this, 31K pressure instantly on here. Boy, oh boy, that's some big selling. And the whales get involved. We'll come back to that in just a few moments, guys. Let's have a quick look here at the future screens. We'll go to the future screens. We are also talking about, of course, stock market today. Refresh this one out. This is Finvizcom. So we're still looking at pretty big moves. Go to Webull screener, pre-markets. What have we got on the pre-market down? Boeing Square, Chipotle, that is a mad stock, that one. $1,400. Look at that old Chipotle going crazy. But yeah, overall, it is a down day. Goldman Sachs coming under pressure. Shopify. Even our friend Copper. Oh, actually, I didn't see that one before. Look at Copper. Dr. Copper not looking healthy. Load up Copper on our charts. So for a lot of people that don't know, we use Copper very rarely to analyze the markets. Basically, you want to, with Copper, use it only at very specific times, and that is generally when we go into recessions. When you go into recessions, Copper becomes very paramount. You just notice here, we thought we were in a recession, Copper gets slogged, we start coming out of recession due to stimulus, it gets really, really hot. And when Copper starts falling like this generally means the stock market is in for some kind of problems. You'll notice here 20 exponential moving average is the key level that we need to close and break below for Copper to start to say, okay, we could be looking at something more for the stock market. But yeah, Copper is copping it right now. Absolutely. Definitely a chart we'll be looking at. $77 coming in with $5, says keep it up. $1 knows it's 1:15 almost in the morning here, but we're only 16 minutes off the market open. So that means 16 minutes more of watching this Bitcoin chart. But 30,900. Oh, it looks so much like 17, doesn't it? Yeah. 36.99. Wow. Another 5 minutes closed. 15-minute got underneath there. Some buying coming back in after the 15-minute close happened there. So you could see the pressure was right onto the close and then they just had to let it go. Thanks very much again, $10.77. Appreciate that, man. So this is right around that kind of structural level that we're about to get down to. You can see here how fast this thing moves. So just a few moments ago, it was 30,700. Now 31,500. 700. Look at it jump round. So there is buying pressure coming back in here on Bitcoin. What's probably going to happen now is it's going to continue its move up. It's going to try to retest this level, maybe even test the 20 or something on a time frame. But it's probably going to come up and test the lows from the bottom down. 32,000 now. It's just too fun, isn't it, when you're watching it like this? I mean, this is the peak pinnacle of crazy Bitcoin investment. So we're getting that pressure now coming back onto the previous support. And the question is, when it taps this in just a second, does selling pressure come in? Okay, so selling pressure came in a little bit earlier. 32, 31.9, 31.7, 31.8, 31.9 to 31.6. That was interesting. Dropped about $300 in half a second. $31.6 still. See if the bulls and the bears fight this one out. So we're basically going down literally here. We're probably going to be on a 1 minute candle. That's how ridiculous this is. So we got this kind of sell-off candle here. Can we get a tick under this low on the 1 minute? That's where we're at. We're on the 1 minute here looking for the tick. The tick would probably force further sell pressure. Oh, they're fighting. You guys are fighting with everyone else. 31,634. There it is. There's the tick. Selling pressure coming in now a little bit here on the 1 minute. Bang. There we go. And the little scalpel's probably gone out and made their couple of $100. What is that? $300? $300 in a second. All right, 12 minutes off the open. So that was a bit of fun. Matthew Yap says that's fun to watch. Yeah, you just need a bit of techno music in the background in this one, and then you just watch it. I remember there was this. I don't think it's around anymore. It was like Fat Pig Crypto or something back in 2017. I remember I loved watching that channel. He just had this crazy music, and it was just so funny. He'd put up his little calls. It would have like XRP, and it would be like sad face or something. It's a pretty funny channel. Yeah, so Bitcoin definitely is the story of the day here. Ethereum, what's been happening to that? So Ethereum cracked the 1,000 quite easily, got down to a 940 low. Certainly worthwhile. Maybe we load up CoinMarketCap here, have a look at some of the sides. I just find this interesting because it's not every day you get these kind of big moves coming through here. So we've got XRP down to 26, Litecoin 124. It's holding okay actually, even though it's a big percentage. Polkadot 758, seen a lot of chatter about that one. Stellar 23. So Stellar's still a lot higher than it was a few months ago. You can see here the charts. Binance Coin, not doing so well. And the rest I don't know. This thing I've never understood. Oh, it makes no sense to me. I thought this would be bust by now, guys. I really did. I really thought that'd be over. Had no faith in that one, unfortunately. So sorry if you did. All right, so we're going back up now. So if we get past here and close above, probably actually break back through and go long for a little while. Let's see if we can get through. I'd like to see a body close of the 1 minute above there though. So there's that little bit of ticking selling pressure. Buyers came back in. Now we're looking up here. We want to see a close above here, and that will probably trigger a little bit of bullish momentum, maybe to 33. We'll have a look. Keep watching that. Now we're only 10 minutes off the open, so we've got to load up our US 500 chart. Got to load up our Nasdaq. We'll go with the futures, then we'll go into the real market. See, the real market is coming off a little bit right now. Sorry, the futures market's coming off a little bit right now, down 1.13%. Now, we know it's a Monday, so Monday mornings don't mean too much. Look at this structure that's coming through here at the 3780. So that's more like good structure. You know, looking at a 1 minute chart, that's just madness. But you've got some structure here, resistances, supports. So this is going to be where the market opens most likely, right on this tap. It's going to hit it, and then we'll see whether the bulls or the bears fight it out. But that is what's gravitating towards right now. This 3780 level, previous resistance, previous resistance, previous resistance, was support once, can act as support again. All right, we'll go back over to some questions here. We've got 9 minutes coming in. Siddharth says, glad you got that frog extracted from your throat, Tom. You sounded brutal around New Year. Yeah, I remember that day. Wasn't sounding so good, hey? That's all right. The frog is gone, Siddharth. Going to buy GBTC with all I have left when market opens right here. You have to wait, do you? It's not open all the time? Oh, you must be trading some future or something. Twitter Music says, is Nasdaq worth buying for a quick buck? Depends on the supports that we go through here. So obviously if we load up Nasdaq futures and you think about where it is, it's not really too crazy. It's very, very similar to the S&P. So the S&P, we saw that 3780. If we load this one up, scroll it out, not as solid a level as that 123 kind of S&P level right here. That's got better market structure on it. BTC, yeah, there's the close, followed by probably the bullish. Let's see if we can get 33. Come on. Got to get up here. Right here, guys. Got to get just here. Yeah. Oh, all right. 33 achieved. 32.91. So now the sellers, let's see if they can get back in control. $32,900. There is sellers there. They're having a crack. It's pretty funny to watch this one. 1 minute charts. What have we been? We've been set to 1 minute charts on a Monday at 1:23 a.m. 32.9. Still consolidating right under this 33. So selling pressure is just, it's not super strong right yet. 32.86. 32.750. Come on, get down. 32.6. 626. 5. Yeah. The sellers pushed it down to the level. Good work, guys. There are no sellers, Zaki said. There was sellers, Zaki. We saw it just there. They came in, man. We had a look at Neo before FOREX. 10% up day off the weekend stuff, so that was pretty fun. Strange Love comes in. He says, these damn millennials and their coins. Yes. Well, we're in between both of those. By the way, if you're first time here and you haven't already subscribed, definitely consider doing so if you're enjoying what you're seeing. Got 491 viewers right now, so thanks very much to each and every one of you. We're 5 minutes off market open here as well. I may not actually have the audio file for today's open. So now we're stuck in between the middle of these two crappy 1 minute zones. Let's go and have a look at our little Ethereum, see how that's trading as well. So Ethereum's having a bit of a better time, really, I think. It's got little crappy 1 minute lightning bolt, got that little wick rejection. There's that body close is pretty much a scalper's buy. So you just go bang, that's it. I don't like these charts. I just used to do it. 1 minute's terrifying to me, but yeah, it's a thing. All right, where are we with the markets? So still hovering around the same time, 37.91, 4 minutes to market open. Pre-market still, we've got really Lily, a few of the others, Nvidia still standouts. Same as before, we've got Facebook now down 2.64%. What's our Apple doing? Where's Apple? Apple is 1.66 down. Boeing copying at 3.5. We didn't even look at the Boeing chart. We're going to load the Boeing chart up. Poor Boeing. Just can't catch a break. So obviously pressure coming onto this company recently with all of the more bad publicity. So we've got that $200 kind of level. Boeing is still well off where it was, which makes sense. It's going to have, I think, another tough 2021. Really, the structure here is about 185 for Boeing, isn't it? This previous resistances, that's probably the line. I might just put an alert. Can't be bothered looking at this stock unless it's there. Seems good. All right, break to a new high here on BTC. So do we gravitate towards the next level on the 1 minute chart, which will be here? Let's see. There's that little bit of crappy resistance. I don't know why that would act as too much stuff. We've got 3 minutes here off the open. Let's see if little buyers can get it in. So this has been pretty much what a $2,000 plus switch on BTC in what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 minutes. It's unbelievable. $7 says Boeing is a great short. Well, certainly a very interesting level. So let's see now if BTC can gravitate towards that next level of support. This is a weird zone around here, but 33.5 was previous kind of level of support, maybe acts as resistance. Let's also go, now that we've pulled up so much, let's have a look at some more significant time frames that aren't just 1 minute and think about what's going on here. So we've got the 2 hour, the 1 hour. Okay, so we're about to get a half an hour probably bullish hammer close if you went to a half an hour. There's the bullish hammer coming through. 2 minutes now off market open. So we'll definitely ding that off. Let's load up our Webull just to see the pre-market into the market. Again, stuff is selling off here. Square now down 4%. So Square's certainly moved a lot in pre-market futures here. Starting to put pressure on the low. US 500 still hovering around 37.92. So we thought we'd probably go to about 37.80 around the opens. Let's see if it can do that. 1 minute, guys. Let's do the countdown. Literally 1 minute till the open here. Twitter Music is saying, I'm buying the NAS. Good luck, sir. Zaki said BTC going to the moon shortly. Well, we'll certainly be watching it. I can see up the top right, it's at 33,100. So we're still trying to get to that 33,500 level. So we're 20 seconds here off the market open. Exciting times. I don't know where the hell my market bell's gone. Sorry about that. We don't have market bell today. 3 seconds, 2 seconds. Ding, 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 ding. All right, we're open, guys. So there we go. 1:30 a.m. for me. You can't say I don't put the effort in. I'm definitely here. So we've got 37.93 on the open. We'll go quickly over to the actual stocks. Let's see the percentage changes coming through. So what held? So Tesla actually taking a 4.6% down Slight recovery there in the first couple of buys. Remember, the retail traders are generally in the buy zone here on the open. So this is usually where you would expect discount buyers to be buying in from the retail community. And then after the first hour is usually when Wall Street start to put the real direction in for the day. So I'm not going to be around for that bit, but I certainly would be interested to see. And we'll do a recap of that tomorrow. So 4.5%, 4.5%, Boeing holding a 3.6%. Some pretty decent moves here. Apple, for a second there, was up. Apple taking a 2.3%. So Apple's actually copying it more than we had pre-market there before. It's always interesting to watch all these kind of trades come through. So there we go. We'll come back to that in a second. Bitcoin, have we got to the zone? Let's have a look here. All right, so we just hit the 33,500. So let's see whether it likes to respect that on the crappy 1 minute chart. No worries, Jamie. No worries, Gareth, Adrian, Doctor. All good, man. So we usually like to hover around here for the first couple of minutes of the market open. Just have a look whether things hold or lose their value. Bitcoin, of course, I still think is the most fun of the day. Just big moves. Obviously, I hope you're all on the right side of whatever the hell is going on right now. But you got a little bit of a sell-off there. You want to see it actually gapped up on the 1 minute. So there was buying pressure putting straight on that selling pressure. For a 1 minute crazy trader, you want to, of course, now see another clip tick underneath here for the sell to be actually in play. We're talking about 1 minute candles, yeah? Not an ideal place to be. All right, let's see if we get the clip tick. Oh, looks like, did we tick it? No. There it is. There's the tick under, I think. Depends on the exchange, I guess. Yep. So that should trigger a little bit more selling. Too strong. Too strong on the 1 minute chart. US 500 finding the pressure there in the first couple of minutes. As we usually expect, retail community probably coming in, getting excited for the Monday. Tesla now only down 3.87, 3.9%. Was down about 4.7, so there's already a quick 1% there on Tesla. It's interesting how we usually see this phenomenon play out. Declining market in the futures on the Monday. Very common in our streams. Incredibly common. Almost every single week there for about a month and a half back November last year, we were seeing that. Then we had, of course, usually that tick up in the first hour, and then we were seeing a decline slip after that period. Bitcoin is still struggling around here. Come on, get down. Get down. We want to go over here. And don't be doing that. We don't want to be doing that right now. It's pretty fun. What? I haven't not looked at a 1 minute chart. It's so long. Gold 1837 as well. So still pressure there. Dollar index 90.58. So it's dropped a little bit off its highs, I believe. It's trading about 90. Oh, was it? It's 90.60, wasn't it? Yes. Come on, thing. The stream's basically me just yelling at the 1 minute chart now. Get down. It's got to just go a little bit more. All right. There we go. Very good. All right, cool. Our scalp's completed. Very nice. Well done. All right, here we go. US 500 now starting to put pressure on. So we're only 5 minutes in. We've got one 5-minute close on the US 500. Star says it sounds like I'm at a racetrack. I was, man. I was on the 1 minute charts. That's where the real adrenaline pushes. Now, see, a lot of people don't know this, but the first chart I ever loaded up when I was looking at technical analysis, you'd be horrified, guys. I put an indicator on a tick chart. Moving averages, and I traded it. Yep, that was the first trade I ever put in Forex. Obviously, I traded stock before then, but yeah, traded Forex on a tick chart. It was pretty crazy. You never want to be down there. But we all start there, yeah. We all start on 1 minute, 30 seconds, 3 minute charts, 5 minute charts. We all want to be scalping. I found the easiest, most relaxing style of trading and also more consistency is usually in swing, a little bit of day trading as well, and then of course investment. And what you want to do is you want to transfer some of your wealth into the investment from your swing and day trading profits, if that's the way you want to do it. I think that's a really good way of doing things here. So 37.92, that's really what's going on right now. And the S&P, go to percentage changes. Wow, this is now down 9.9%. BILI now down 5.8. Tesla gone back to 4.7. Almost 4.3. It's moving all over the place. Square 5.83. We've got to look at the square chart here. Let's look at that square chart. Daily here on Square. So let's have a look what's been going on recently. So we had, of course, our pickup from November. Very nice price action coming through. Bunch of 20 moving averages here holding. We're sitting at 227 right now. So this is the point where you would hope buying pressure comes back in for Square. 1, 2, 3, 4. Huge amounts of buying pressure coming through there all the way through Square. So, yeah, you want that 20 to hold. Now, it did get through once, so you know that based on that, that's not going to be a sell catalyst. But think about it this way. I like more the price action than the moving averages. So if we got through and we closed below this, what would happen? If we got under 210, you are looking at a double top. So you've got resistance, you've got support, and then, of course, you get through here, you're looking at a double top pattern here on Square. Absolute double top pattern. Getting through the 50 at the same time, closing below. That's something I'm certainly going to alert myself to and do a little bit of analysis on. How, Twitter, could Nasdaq blow your account, man? I hope that's not true. Like, how much moves are going on here to blow your account? What, this? I hope not, bro. So we'll go back over to the little 1 minute Bitcoin chart. So it looks like it's putting further pressure on here. I guess you could say on a 1 minute, you got kind of your peak, your little trough, your little lower peak that hasn't been confirmed yet. And if we get like a new low, then that will probably signal further shorting pressure through here. Might as well watch that one. It's pretty good fun. Strange Love says, I bought my first stocks just before September pullback. I think I remember your comment. Maybe you commented as well there. Remember being so confused but stumbled in here. Calm down. Love your content. No worries, dude. Absolutely. Like the thing is with everything is it's all about being calm in the moment and just looking at the bigger picture, looking at what your plan was, and hopefully not freaking out. DXY hit the target of 90.70, says Dom. Cool. That was cool. So let's have a quick look at DXY then, because we obviously spoke about that at the beginning of the stream. Oh yeah, nice. See, we're learning stuff here. We're doing good things today, guys. 90.70. Man, look at that. For anyone that's been watching the stream the whole time, we literally, oh, it's like a scalpel, just like cutting it up. We're chopping that market up today. Very nice, bro. Cool. Thanks for that one. Oh, we have not got the new low. So now it's going to go do its own thing. So Bitcoin is going to be doing its own little thing in the 1 minute. You know, if it actually got down underneath here, let's say that 1 minute done this. Let's just say it had done this and it closed under there. That actually would have triggered a decent amount of scalping sells. That's usually the way that that kind of little thing plays out. Now, this is not good structure or anything, but I think it really would have, especially if it had this particular candle and then it broke underneath. Oh, that would have been good. Anyway, it didn't do that. All right, guys. Well, it's 1:41 a.m. I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you, all 436 still with us. Obviously, got a little bit tired there at the end coming into the open, but I think we did some good stuff today. Went over some great things. Hopefully you learned something through the stream. I wish you all, of course, the best success today in trading. In terms of what the markets are doing, it seems like it could be very interesting. I'm going to look for the close, obviously make some content about it for you tomorrow and go from there. But yeah, I'd just like to say thanks for coming out to the stream. Obviously, subscribe, like the video if you haven't already, and we'll see you for another video tomorrow. And we'll be back doing Mondays probably next week. There could be one thing that stops me next week, but after that, we'll be doing Mondays pretty much throughout the year. So always come back, Monday live streams. We announce it generally on the Monday. We also announce it on our weekend videos. So awesome, guys. Good luck today. Bye for now. Joel, I've got to go, man. 1:41, too late. Need to make videos for you guys tomorrow plus trade. All right. See you guys.